And I know how dangerous that is, considering how long an eater you are.
Yeah, 2
I don't
hours.
mean that bad.
2 hours later.
I just know that you are generally slower when it comes to eating than I am.
Because
I mean, I have a tendency to inhale food.
yes,
You do savor it, even when it is Taco Bell.
yes, agreed.
There's nothing wrong against Taco Bell.
No,
but...
there's not. You're welcome, patrons.
Oh yeah, and people coming in on the live stream.
Yes, people coming in the live
Yes,
stream.
we're starting a little late.
Little late. I had to work
because you didn't get off till 7 o'clock.
till 7 o'clock,
which is still earlier than when you were originally going to get off.
Yes, because initially I was supposed to get off at 7:30, but I negotiated with people, negotiated with management. It was like, hey, can I get off at 7?
I even had plans that if he hadn't texted me by 7 o'clock, I was going to do something to kill time.
Taco Bell, I'm hungry.
He texted me at 7. I was going to do something anyway, and then all of a sudden he knocks on my door right before I'm about ready to hit live on my secondary in my keep the audience entertained thing. It's like, oh, guess I don't need to do that anymore.
Nope.
I need to fix your camera though.
Yeah, it's a little bit to the.
It's hard to tell when you're not here.
True. That'll work.
And a lot of times I try to use me sitting in that seat to kind of gauge it.
Fair.
But we are different dimensions.
Yes, agreed.
So, hi, Artsy. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I know I have not posted any shorts in a while, so I appreciate you still doing all the
legwork.
Well, the stuff to do the making the clips. I am going to get back to it. I've got some time. I'm going to work on it tomorrow once I get home from the movies.
So going to watch Captain America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to watch. And I'll be wearing this shirt.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, Bobo at least is sending me the time codes. I still have to go back to the video to actually get those, but that's fine. So we shall wait until Jacob finishes eating. Everybody stare at Jacob. I'm kidding.
As I made the joke in the very beginning of the stream 2 hours later, because I'm a very slow eater. It's not
it's not a bad thing. You just savor your food.
Exactly. And I've learned in the past, if I try to, quote unquote, inhale my food, I don't feel very fantastic afterwards.
That is very fair.
Now, on the very rare of,
I have a hard time slowing back down.
So we are live on Facebook. We are live on Rumble. So I saw the most interesting thing because where I'm, my part of my job is to make sure everything's faced in certain.
Your thing's on.
I noticed. But so I was going through the beer section, and I noticed
looking for alcohol.
Not looking for me, obviously, but I happened to stumble. I was looking at, I think it was like the liqueurs or something like that, and they had a Mountain Dew hard liquor.
Why am I not surprised at that?
I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm not going to drink it.
Mountain Dew did start off as a what do you call that? A liquor chaser?
Yes.
All right. So while
moonshine.
Moonshine. I am going to at least get this to where you can hear it. Since you are here. But I thought while we're waiting on you to finish eating, we can watch some trailers.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to get that back over there. So I can just hit bloop.
Cool.
When the streets are held hostage.
Bomb! Break the dog! Hit the siren! Ow!
Two of the city's finest must come together.
Green, red, green? Wait, aren't dogs colorblind?
And
actually, my recording's not going yet. So.
Oh.
But that's fine, because we're not to that part.
Yes.
Now we're recording. But the audio, for some reason, is not going through that. Hey, you can hear us, but you can't hear the YouTube. That's about what I was afraid of. So I let me fix that. Oh yeah, I may not be able to fix that actually. because the mix minus. Okay, so maybe this idea won't work. Never mind.
Never mind.
I need to do some more work to get that to work.
Mm.
It should have been sharing the audio out to y'all anyway.
That's weird.
Oh, the YouTube totally overshadowed both of us? Okay, fair
Mm.
enough. We'll try that next time. I may have to just set it up to go through my PlayStation because at least I know that works.
Yeah.
Actually,
And I think it'd be fun like watching all the trailers and be like, oh, here's our reaction to it, or like, oh yeah, that was a kind of a weird movie.
can I? Oh, I don't have that. I don't have that hooked up, so I can't. I need one more USB port in order to get both our cameras plus my capture card on at the same time. And I don't have that, so not without digging underneath the computer, and it's just not worth that.
No.
So we'll just talk.
Sure.
So Edwin Gonzalez popped in for a bit. He says Muppets in Space was the best Muppet movie, first movie commentary I ever listened to. It's not, that's not immediately on our list. It's definitely not this year. But I want to get to it, and I already know who we're going to try to get a guest on for. I know who the guest would be for that episode. Because he's told us or at least he's told me that's his favorite Muppet movie, and I suspect the reason it's his favorite Muppet movie for reasons besides the movie itself, from what he's told me. So
Who would that be?
Dallas.
I thought so. Well, that's right. He is a Muppet fan.
Yeah, he is a Muppet fan. Well, I don't know if he's a Muppet fan. I know the reason was his favorite Muppet movie is because he could easily put that on at the movie rental store where he worked back when he was a kid. Or not kid, but out of high school. Well, yeah, out of high school, but yeah, anyway. And it was at least clean, and everyone could watch it, and the music was good. And he tells me that, and going, that's not a reason to enjoy any movie, much less a Muppet movie, but okay. Edwin says Gonzo and Camilla better couple than Piggy and Kermit. You're not wrong, Edwin.
Okay,
you are not wrong.
I
especially
agree.
Especially in this, the special we watched for this. So
yeah, because in this movie they're really not a couple at all.
Oh.
It's like, well, they are a couple, but they really don't interact with each other. Really, except the Barry.
You mean Piggy and Kermit? Yeah.
Oh man.
Gonzo and Camilla, they have an entire love scene in this show.
Now,
it really makes you think Valentine's Day.
It does.
Love in a laundromat. Who would have thought of that? I don't know the rest of it.
Where in the world is that from?
That's this show.
Oh, that's right.
When they're in the laundromat,
That's
the
right.
laundry in the Utilidors at Walt Disney World. Probably the only time those have been shown on TV, especially in a fiction point of view.
Yeah,
assuming that's the actual Utilidors, because we have no way of knowing. Because neither one of us have been to that part of Disney. Fun fact. I think of the two of us, I'm the only one who's been to Disney. Walt Disney World.
I haven't. One, I was never in band.
Fair.
Band always went to Disney World.
That's the only reason I got to go was because of the band.
Because my little brother, my baby brother, he went to Disney World. And I was tremendously jealous. They're like, can I go as a chaperone? Because I would do that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. I am not against going back one day.
Yeah.
To Walt Disney World. I am still kicking myself for not having ridden Pirates of the Caribbean, because that would have still been the original version back then. That was before the movies. They wouldn't even been able to put the movie animatronics in there.
Yeah, they haven't retooled them.
But I did ride the original Splash Mountain. Unfortunately, most of the animatronics in that ride no longer worked.
Yeah, at that point, but like that was at least 20-year-old.
Yeah, and by that time, Song of the South had already kind of fallen off of popularity with people because Eisner was gone by then. Edwin Gonzalez says Gonzo shot from a cannon, but Camilla ain't too late. Riff on Gonzo shot from the heart, but Camilla ain't too late. Okay, I think I get what you've been there. Get what you're saying there. Fair enough. Anyway. Shot from the heart, and you're to blame. You give laundry a bad name. Ugh.
Yes, you're watching one of our hosts eat. So,
admittedly, you hadn't had time to.
no, I haven't. So here's the funny part. I get to work, but recently a friend of ours gave me a lift to work.
Artsy, just so you know, I got to go to Disney World in 2002, so we weren't too far apart from each other.
Really?
Yeah, she went in 2005.
Oh, okay, cool.
You can't see the chat from where you're at, are you? Can you?
I can, if I lean over, I can see it.
Okay, you might have better luck leaning this direction.
Yes, you're right.
Anyway, continue your story.
No, but so one of our coworkers, very sweet lady, her 8-year-old son, who's about to turn 9, was there because he had nowhere else to go, which happens sometimes. And so this little guy is just a whirlwind, be like asking you a billion questions, asking you everything. It's like, so it just made the day a little more interesting. Grant, it's only like a 7-hour shift. I know some people, it's like, well, 7-hour shifts are not that long. They're not, but because I know some people work 12 hours. They can feel like a long day, but this wasn't a long day because we were so busy because it's Valentine's Day. So we were busy with people like buying last minute, things for their loved ones or what have you. My tradition, even before I got married, was I would buy a dozen chocolate covered strawberries and give them out to all the ladies I work with. And they've always appreciated it. And so so when I first walked up, they were like, they were curious, be like, if I was going to do it. And I did it. They were like so surprised. And we're like, oh my gosh, yes, we thought you weren't going to do it anymore. It's like, yeah.
So Artsy Steph, you're saying that you'd wish and you'd gotten a Totoro plushie from the Japan part of Epcot back when you went in 2000, what was that, 2005? 5? I think it was 2005, she said.
Yes, 2005.
Well, here's the thing. I just looked it up. I don't think you could have. Because just looking up when Totoro came out over here in the US, the rights that Fox Video had gotten in 1993 expired in 2004. And it was re-released by Walt Disney Home Video on March 7th, 2006. So Artsy went there between those points. So there was probably no Totoro merchandise at all available in the United States to buy at that time. So don't feel bad, Steph. You couldn't. It would not have been impossible at all.
Yeah. So I know at some point, like me and my wife, because she's gone, because she's originally from California.
She would have gone to Disneyland.
She went to Disneyland multiple times when she was younger.
Entirely different.
It is. So be like, I've never, because our closest is Disney World in Florida from Texas. So our first initial thought before we got married is like, oh, our 1-year anniversary is going to Disney World. Oh, apparently that wasn't in the cards this year, so we're planning on it at some point.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it happens. But I guarantee, be like, I'm going to bring something Stitch related home. I guarantee it.
Okay, I'm going to say this now. When you go, it might be far enough in the future you will forget. So I will not hold you to this bet.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a bet.
Okay.
For those who don't know, there is, because adults are not allowed to dress up in the parks.
No.
There is a tradition a lot of people will do now called Disney bounding, where you're dressed up in clothes similar but not exact to Disney characters in the park.
Yeah.
If you would send me a picture of you Disney bounding as Stitch, preferably at Space Mountain.
At Space Mountain.
Yeah, okay. Take a picture at Space Mountain.
Okay.
Which is going to be in Magic Kingdom. If you're at Walt Disney World. I would be a very happy person. I can see you doing it, which is why it's not a real bet.
Yeah.
But even if I hadn't mentioned anything, Unfortunately, you won't be able to ride the Stitch ride because it's not there anymore.
No, it's not.
Which it wasn't a Stitch ride when I was there. It was actually a knockoff Aliens ride.
Yeah, it was Alien Encounter.
Yes, that thing was weird.
Yeah, it frightened a lot of people. What I understand, but yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
It didn't
like,
mess with me at all because I think I was too short for the tongue to hit me.
So I think for me, be like, yeah, I will definitely wear like a nice blue shirt.
Yeah,
With
I mean,
some- with
Stitch, a Stitch Disney bound and shouldn't be a too hard a thing.
No,
to
it's just
pull
wearing
off.
blue.
Yeah.
Wearing blue and wear a Stitch hat. It's like, no, I'm not dressed Stitch at all. Be like, see the ears?
No. You have the blue shirt and the blue pants, but you have an Elvis Presley jacket.
In Florida weather.
It can
In
be a
summer.
It can be a thin jacket. Stitch wore one in Hawaii.
He did, but this was a cartoon. I'm a human man.
He could be doing it in the live action, and he has fur.
That is true, but also he's animated.
He's also an alien life form that probably has a better cooling system than we do.
I will pass out.
You don't have to wear the jacket the whole time, just when you take the picture.
Okay.
Apparently, Ashley likes my idea.
Who?
Ashley, your
Ashley.
wife. Your Valentine that I have taken you away from. My apologies, Ashley. Really, my apologies. Kill me later.
Sorry, honey. Love you.
So literally, Ashley, I did not realize.
Nope, don't do it.
I did not realize today was Valentine's Day until your husband sent his Facebook thing this morning.
My post this morning.
Yeah, I go, oh yeah, today is Valentine's
Yes.
Day. Oh crap.
We're doing something tomorrow, so it's fine.
Fair enough. But yeah, I do apologize. If I'd have known, I would have said, we could skip this week.
Oh boy.
I didn't think about oh yeah, it's Valentine's Day, and it's your first Valentine's Day as a married couple.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap. I should have noticed something sooner and made arrangements to work around that.
It's all good.
So my apologies. I should for not working around that, letting y'all have a date
all
night
good.
tonight.
Oh, believe me, like a date night on Valentine's night? No. That is not a good idea.
Ashley says no worries, but I like Artsy Steph's reaction to what I said. Kill me later, please.
Oh, great. Because I keep thinking it's like, oh boy, this is gonna be funny when I get home. So apparently, I can't stay up past 10. Apparently now.
Yeah, he is on a
leash.
a leash, a curfew. In fact, right when we get started, I am actually going to put. I'm going to put an alarm on my phone right now to go off at 9:30. So if you hear, I gotta pick a good ringtone for this for the show.
Dead man walking.
Let's see. Okay, if you hear that sound, I'm dead, and he's dead because Ashley's gonna kill him for becoming home late.
Love you, Ashley.
No, we really aren't under a curfew. This is just a joke from last week when we were here until midnight.
Yes. You came home
after 12:30 last week.
I did.
Blame Nate.
Blame Nate. Thank you.
He's not here, but blame Nate. In fact, I don't know. He might be here in the chat.
He might be in chat. It's like, I'm here, guys. Thanks for throwing me under the bus.
In fact, that does remind me. I should be posted this in a couple of places.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. I barely remember to do this on Tuesday nights when I'm doing my now live recording of the Cellcast Presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts. I didn't kind of intend for that to happen, but it worked out so well.
Yeah, that's. I was very surprised because you kind of hung up the hat on that for a while. And
well,
you had such a positive feedback with. We're like, oh, that sounds like a fun idea.
Yeah. So what happened was Tuesday during the day, I'm at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I was doing at work at that moment was not exactly requiring all of my brain. Okay.
Right.
Waiting on a printer to print. It's
You got downtime.
you got some mental downtime, even though you are doing work at that moment. So my brain was thinking, tonight you're going to be going into Wonderland on Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about where Untangling Kingdom Hearts finished when I gave that up.
Mm-hmm.
If it is possible, I could find a way to bring that back.
Could.
How your thought process goes. And that would give me something to be talking about during the thing, because I'd have to be starting and stopping and going back and forth, getting comments from the chat, hopefully, to say on the show, things to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
It could kill two birds with one stone.
Good.
The only problem I had with it was, can I do that and the editing not kill me? Because starting and stopping recording, you got to do a lot of editing to make all that fit together.
Mm-hmm.
I got that editing done faster than most of our stuff, so
true. Well, I do have to say, the times I did listen to Untangling Kingdom Hearts, like the production value was really good. I was like, wow, okay, this is very narrative storytelling.
So one difference I made is I'm not scripting my episode anymore.
Okay.
Literally, I am playing the segment on the stream, and I get to a stopping point, like to a cutscene. I hit start record. I talk about stuff, talk about what just happened, and I hit stop.
Oh, okay.
And then I play through the next part, and then I try to remember. So and so here, or the White Rabbit in this scene was played by Corey Burton, who played somebody else in something. I don't remember what it was now. He's like in a ton of stuff, which is weird. That's why Corey Burton was the first name to come to my mind.
So, kind of a very weird side tangent, because we remember everybody did Dragonwary. We did Dragonwary. So I've had like two people today ask me, because I'd mention, be like, oh, what are you doing today? I'd be like, oh, I'm recording a podcast. We're like, what? We're a podcaster? It's like, yes. And so you talk about what you're doing and the whole bit. I had one young lady. She's like, so what are you doing here? Because I think some people think it's like, ever since you're a podcaster, it'd be like you're making money off of it. And it's like, well, not a lot. Not a lot. Be like thankful for the patrons and whatever residual we're getting from whatever. But I just simply said, be like, yeah, not all of us are Joe Rogan. Like
not all of us want to be Joe Rogan, but we like what the money Joe Rogan gets.
Yes, but I kind of explained to be like, yeah, we're not all Joe Rogan. So be like, yeah, it'd be great, because my initial thought was like, in 5 years we're be like, this is kind of our livelihood and this kind of stuff, but it never happened. But
well, we've had slow growth, which is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It's less volatile. We've only had really one episode that really exploded on us.
Yeah, true.
Which was
it's our number one episode.
Yeah, but it was only good for that 1 month. There's so many of them that Spirited Away. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Actually, technically, the one episode that is at number one is the one that's had the most consistent playback.
Yeah.
Which was the Chipmunk Adventure.
Yeah.
Of all things,
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Chipmunk Adventure. We enjoyed it. You can go hear our thoughts on that episode. But that was not the one I expected to be the most popular one.
Yes.
I still don't know why Spirited Away blew up in the way it did and had so many downloads in a month. But it's slowed down considerably since then. So,
but yes, it's like for whatever like consistency we get when it comes to like either people listen to our stuff or not, it's appreciated to whoever listens to us.
Hey, Geek Devotions, how are you doing? Hey, artsy stuff. Ghibli's part of it, but we've done a lot of other Ghibli movies besides that, because we're only like 5 movies away, I think, to finishing the entire filmography of Studio Ghibli. So I don't think it's that specifically, because none of the others blew up to that extent, not even Totoro. Honestly, we had a guest on that night someone you brought on, because he was you were on his show, and we were both on their
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Jason?
Because Jim, Video Store Rejects, I think was
Yeah,
the name of it.
yeah. We had
him on.
Yeah.
And I think his audience listened, and then they never came back. So
It happens.
yes, Artsy Stuff, we have already done My Neighbor Totoro. We actually did that in our first year, and we weren't live.
No.
So
go
we
back
were very
to the archives and find that one.
That was our Thanksgiving episode because we were extremely thankful to not have to end November on Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. Now,
Grave of the Fireflies is a good movie.
Agree.
Not get me wrong, but it is not how I wanted to end that month.
No. Be like, go back.
It is the least Studio Ghibli film in the Ghibli library.
I'm honestly,
that's not entirely true, but
Yeah.
it's not. When I think Studio Ghibli, that's not the movie that comes to my mind.
Right. Be like,
I think of your Kikis, your Totoros,
exactly.
My Neighbors, the Yamadas, even Pompoko.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Grave of the Fireflies is a very unique film. It does set it is a period piece. I just wasn't being an older brother. Like the fact to be like how
that is a funny moment for me.
That oh my gosh, you're not kidding. It was the fact to be like you have an older brother who is so selfish and he thinks only of himself, and he's trying his best, but he doesn't really try his best. Be like he's unwilling to do this. He's unwilling to do this. Is like, dude, grow. Part of my friends will grow a pair and man up.
I still think
he never does that.
I still think my favorite part of that review specifically,
and he lets his sister die.
My favorite part of that review specifically is when you start going off on that rant, and I literally stood up, walked into your kitchen, and got a glass of water.
Yeah,
and you can hear the whole thing, and you're going, "You're really getting a glass of water?" I said, "Yes, I am. I know we're going to be here a while."
Yeah, that was before Rant Masters or anything. So
that was the closest thing at that time we had to a rant.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the only time we ever did that one, because the next time we had one where one of us felt extremely strongly about a Studio Ghibli film, I acted out a one-man show from the scene from an episode of Frasier, because she was a Black Widow. he was the Fly.
Yes.
But anyway, to answer your earlier question, Nico, we haven't actually started yet because Jacob had to finish eating.
Yeah, actually, I just finished eating.
Yeah, so we are about to
we were about to start rocking it, and it didn't take 2 hours to eat. I took about 20 minutes to eat.
Well, it wasn't like you were eating a whole Denny's plate.
Yes,
it was just a couple of tacos and some taco fries or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
nacho fries. To answer your question, Geek Devotions, that I didn't see until just the second, where he asks, "What did you eat?"
Oh, I had a.
He had Taco Friday.
Yeah, I had Taco Friday.
Sorry, I said that wrong. He had Taco Tuesday on a Friday. There's a call back to our third episode.
A cheesy gordita crunch and their fries. It was something simple. It was like, hey, I told my wonderful wife, be like, hey, can you do this for me? And she graciously did, which there again, grazie.
All right, so we've had plenty of time for people to come in.
Yes, food is digested.
Why don't we go ahead and get started on this?
Yes.
The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today, live from the detention hall at the Pet Care Center at Walt Disney World. Welcome, Jacob.
Ruff. Let me out of here. Wait, hold on. I can unlock this thing. Click. There, good. Sheesh, whoever locked me in this thing for the last time is gonna get it. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host. Let me get this collar off. Jeez, come on.
That's what you get for being a stray at Walt Disney World.
You bark once and you get discriminated as a dog. Come on. Really? You're like, I might sue over this.
You'd think at least that you were pretending to be Stitch, at least.
Exactly. I had the blue on and everything. They just thought I was a dog, like Stitch pretend to be a dog.
Hey, yeah,
Sheesh.
yeah.
I want my money back, or at least a free pass. Anyways, let me introduce our co-host, a man who just wanted to take a lovely stroll down the utilidors with his lovely girlfriend, if he had one. Welcome, Drew.
If I had one, you know, here's the thing. I would love to take a lovely stroll down the utilidors with my girlfriend.
Yes.
Whether I have one at this moment or not
Just thinking
is
on you, bro.
secondary. I know you're picking on me. I picked on you. I made
Of
the
course.
dog joke. We're
Good.
just not streaming.
Ugh.
Except, baby, we are. Because I
Maybe.
think it may have just came back.
Maybe.
Are we back? I think we're back.
Can you hear us in the chat?
Got to bring your camera back up.
Yes. So oddly enough, when we're, for our Patreon and those who are listening in the chat,
Hang on. Continue talking. They can hear you.
okay, good. Yeah, Jacob looks like a goof in the black jacket. What I saw in the chat.
Yeah.
But so I'm looking because I know there was at least there was a VHS at least of this film, but you can't find it anywhere. What I understand, there was a release of this special, at least on VHS form.
I should say what we're reviewing tonight is a special.
Mm-hmm. It was recorded off television.
Yeah, this definitely was recorded off television, but it's a special that was made to introduce the idea of the Muppets being at Walt Disney World because at the time, the Jim Henson Company was getting ready to be purchased by Walt Disney.
Yes.
I'll get more into the history on that here in just a moment, but that got put on hold for 20 years.
Yeah, a little bit.
Or about 20 years.
Yeah.
So why don't we just go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free thoughts?
Yeah, let's do that.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So here's the thing. I'm the one who put this on the list. And I put this on the list for 3 reasons. One, I probably watched a ton of it when I was a kid.
Nostalgia.
For nostalgia. So, because this was one of those videos that was recorded off TV and put on a bootleg VHS by my grandpa. So it was in my regular rotation to watch this special. In fact, everything in this special I used to watch, with the exception of the introduction with Michael Eisner. That little clip at the very beginning was not in my version of the video back in the day. But so nostalgia was one thing. The second reason I did it is because this is a very important special in Muppet history, because this ended up being the final time the Muppet performers, the original Muppet performers, performed at the same time, because not 10 days after this aired is when Jim Henson died.
Very unexpectedly
Of pneumonia, I believe it was.
That's what I remember.
Basically, so here's kind of what happened. I'll give you the quick rundown of the history. After Labyrinth kind of did not perform well, unfortunately, even though it's a good film and it has gotten a cult following since then. At the time, it really didn't do well.
Dance, baby, dance.
Jim Henson was stressed, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And he was still doing a lot of the work, but he was having to, along with doing the creative stuff, he was also having to do all the business stuff, and he hated doing the business stuff. So what he ended up doing, his decision was that he would sell the entire Jim Henson Productions to Walt Disney. They would take over running the business side of things, and get all the other stuff you would get from all that sort of stuff, and that would allow Jim Henson to go back and just be the creative force behind the stuff again, because that's what he really wanted to do. I cannot blame him for only wanting to do that part if somebody else can take care of the hard work, the business part of it that's not enjoyable. I can't really blame him for that. Unfortunately, these years of stress had kind of come up on him.
Yeah.
And just after he recorded this, because it takes a while for these deals to go through.
It does.
So he had I think he had done a couple more like on-air performances, like at the what do you call the talk shows. He'd done a couple of talk show appearances after that, because those are his actual final performances as Kermit. But this was the last one he had done for a production. And one night after he got done, I think it was the Tonight Show, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's the Tonight Show. He got home, was not feeling good. In fact, he was not feeling good before he went, but he powered through it because that's just who he was.
Yeah.
And then like he was just kind of, tried to go to sleep, but it wasn't working. His family finally made him go to the emergency room late like early that morning. And by the time they got him there, I mean, not long after that, I don't know the exact thing, but he had passed away, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the talks at that point did stall on the selling of Jim Henson Productions to Disney, and they ended up going their separate ways. Disney did put out 2 movies, which would be Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island, as part of that original deal. And they did produce the television series Muppets Tonight for ABC.
That's right.
Which basically was some kind of the Muppet Show season 6 and 7. But and then after that, of course, it fell back off because the Muppets did have a hard time after this point keeping constant, keeping popularity, I should say.
Yeah.
But later on, of course, they did one more movie, which would be Muppets from Space, that Columbia ended up putting out. And then a couple years after that, Walt Disney Studios bought the Muppets IP along with the show Bear and the IP for the show Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
In a sale, and that's how they got the Muppets. Now originally the Muppets were not the Sesame Street characters were not part of that. We're not going to be part of the original deal because that had already been spun off to another thing. So Disney was not going to get that, even though Disney wanted that.
Right.
But yeah, that's basically the history, and that's why this is important. Is like, this is the last time Jim Henson performs Kermit the Frog in a production, and Rolf the dog, and
several
Dr. Teeth, Waldorf, the Swedish Chef, and it's the last time he will sing Rainbow Connection. And this is kind of the peak. Like, don't get me wrong, love Muppet Christmas Carol. I do still think it's the best Muppet movie. But it's the only reason I think it's as good as it is because Jim Henson had put in the work to instill the culture that was still there when that film was being made. It's still there in Treasure Island, but then it kind of starts falling off to that the rest of the specials they would do and made for TV movies and even the theatrical movies just aren't, to me, as good.
Oh, okay.
I know Dallas in our thing in our chat from Geek Devotion says that Muppets from Space is best Muppets according to him, which is why at a later date I plan on trying to get him on our Muppets from Space episode when we do that.
Yes.
Not sure when that is yet, but
so here's a question for. There again, I grew up with the Muppets.
Right. Your exposure to the Muppets prior to me forcing you to watch
was Muppet Babies.
Was Muppet Babies, and you hate Muppet Babies.
Yeah. Well,
you dislike it. Anyway.
I dislike it because the viewpoint I had when I was a child, and now as an adult, I probably would appreciate it a lot more. But as a child, I didn't.
Fair.
I thought it was just stupid. but I think as an adult now, I probably find
Yeah.
it a little more humorous. But
I
so
can tell you, I would have been interested because I had seen Muppet stuff by the time that was on
fair,
the air. So
fair. So the question I want to bring up, you know, since the passing of Jim Henson,
Mhm.
who took over the voice of, or at least production,
Most
of
so
Kermit primarily?
from starting with Muppet Christmas Carol, because
Yes.
that was the first production after the
That's
passing.
right, because you mentioned that. I just don't remember who it was.
That Kermit and many of his others, plus I think many of his Sesame Street characters that he was still performing,
Yes.
like Ernie and such. Steve Whitmire picked that up, and Steve Whitmire is actually in this in a couple roles.
Oh, okay.
But Steve Whitmire had the voice of Kermit all the way until very recently, like the last 5-ish years, I think. Until the show, I can tell you, it's still the show Muppets Now on Disney Plus came out. I don't remember exactly when those. That may have been 2019, so it may be 6 years ago now.
Yeah,
but that's when they went to a different actor because, according to Disney, Steve Whitmire was asking for too much money and was trying to hold it over their heads. He was this big thing, and they didn't want to. They weren't going to take that. So
got it.
I don't know if any of that's true. I just know that that's the reason I remember hearing. So, but yeah, I watched this a ton as a kid. This actually informed many of my decisions. The one time I went to Walt Disney World, what rides I wanted to ride.
Really?
Yeah, because this was the show I watched. This was Walt Disney World. I have some issues with how that went over.
Okay,
we'll get
fair.
to it.
Fair.
But yeah. What are your thoughts? Because I know this was the first time you'd watched this.
Yeah, I had never heard of this before. I remember you saying very briefly that you had, but like, this was something you loved as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
This is something like nostalgia for you. And so when you put on the list, you mentioned something about this. Oh my gosh, this and this. You were hyping this up beyond belief.
Oh yeah.
And watching it
when I finally found a copy on YouTube, I went and watched it that night and then put it on the list.
Okay, fair. So with all your hype about it, because you have all this nostalgia for it, I go into this like, okay, this has got to be this magnum opus of,
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that was the impression
fair enough. I may have given off a wrong impression.
But I watched it, be like, it was enjoyable. There were certain parts that it's like, okay, I was disappointed in, because again, from Drew's perspective, oh my gosh, they do this. Oh my gosh, they do this. And I'm like, okay, maybe I was slightly disappointed in this, but it was still an enjoyable event. Overall, be like, I did enjoy it. I wish they would have. I don't think there's a VHS version of this out where it's probably
no, there's not.
There's probably a bootleg,
and it's still not on Disney Plus either.
No, of course not, because it was a special, and there's probably license, and
it's listed as part of the Magical World of Disney, which was a long-running show that Disney had on NBC.
Yes,
and I think it's the NBC that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
But then some of the stuff that went on through that, like the Disney Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yes,
that has been released separately. So I don't know.
But overall, I did enjoy this.
Maybe it's Amazon being a pain with MGM.
Who knows?
There's a lot of MGM on this because that's the name of the studio at the time.
That is true. But overall, I did enjoy this, and I'm looking forward to the review, because there again, this man was hype training about this, and I was like, okay, I want to see where, because you talk Muppets about this guy, and it's like Muppets or Star Trek, or like there's a few other things, but like when you geek out about something,
you get me on the right subject of something I have spent far too much time paying attention to at one point in my life. I will be like
Caillou, Power Rangers, Sonic. Like Sonic, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is, granted, this man geeks out about his fandom. It's great. It is part funny, part, oh my gosh, I love this. This is funny. This is fun and funny at the exact same time. Because there again, I will retell this story until the end of time with those people who want to listen. So we are doing our reaction to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And so we get to there again, spoiler ahead, 3, 2, 1, where Sonic and Shadow are fighting, and he's already going the theme. So you know where I'm at. So they get done with their fight on the moon. They have this friendship thing. We understand each other, and they clap, both become supersonics, and you have live and learn. And this guy's geeking out. He's humming it, he's singing it at the top of his lungs, and it's
not that
okay.
loud.
You were loud enough I could hear you over everything, and but it was the coolest. It was the coolest, but the funniest thing in the world to hear. Because when you see someone who has a passion for a fandom, and you see them react to something live on the big screen, is great.
You got to understand on that just quickly. We'd had hints of that song throughout the entire thing. I knew it was in the movie, but I didn't know if they were actually going to do the full thing. And not only do we get the full thing with like kind of orchestral and everything, I'm sitting there going, "They've got Johnny singing." Was not because for some reason I just thought, oh, they're never going to get Johnny Gioli on this. He's not connected. They're going to get they're going to pay some Uber star too much money to foul up the song. I know that's what they're going to, and they actually had Johnny Gioli singing it. So yeah, it was.
But yeah, moving right along.
Dick-a-doom.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this review. And there again, I don't think this is going to be a very long review.
I don't think it's going to be either because there's only an hour worth of stuff here.
Yeah.
And admittedly, this is a lot thinner than I think I would have realized.
Okay,
it's thinner than most Muppet movies,
right?
So,
and it'd be like
it is very much made for TV.
Yes, agreed.
Made to be part of a TV show and made to be seen one night and probably never actually seen again. If we're being honest,
probably.
But this is one of my favorites from when I was a kid, and there's a lot of nostalgia on this. That being said, oh yeah, there are problems.
Yeah, there are problems with this movie. Or special, let's say that.
So why don't we go ahead and jump into that?
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the special The Muppets at Walt Disney World. Listener discretion is advised. By the way, if you want to go watch this, because it's next to impossible to get, I know Jacob bringing this up, YouTube. Just search this thing on YouTube. It'll be one of the first two videos on there. Trust me. If you listen to the podcast, pause, go watch, come back. If you're watching us live, I'm sorry you're too late. You're going to have to wait till I'm done.
Yeah. No, so just bear with us. Da-dum-dum.
Bear left, frog right. Moving on. Muppets.
Watch out for the pig.
The Muppets at Walt Disney World.
Or more appropriately, watch out for the rat.
The Muppets at Walt Disney World was directed by Peter Harris.
It's a big rat.
Who also directed Muppet Family Christmas.
Ah, gotcha.
And it was written by Jerry Jewell, who wrote like the original Muppet movie and many episodes of The Muppet Show.
Okay.
Getting into the cast for this one, we've got, in his final appearance, Jim Henson as Kermit the Frog, Rolf the Dog, Dr. Teeth, Waldorf, the Swedish Chef, and Link Hogthrob. That was the Captain Kirk pig. That was looking for the manly shirt with little mice on them.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think so.
But he was created to be a parody of William Shatner.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because he was in Pigs in Space with Link Hogthrob being the captain, Miss Piggy the first mate, and Dr. Julius Strangepork as pretty much Dr. McCoy.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Jim Henson also played Ernie on Sesame Street, along with a couple other characters. I don't have the full list. Frank Oz was the voice of Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and Animal. I should be saying performed, because in most cases in this, they're definitely they're performing the characters also.
Yeah.
But as you all probably know, Frank Oz was Yoda in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Goelz played the Great Gonzo, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, Beauregard, Zoot, and a frog.
Ribbit.
And in the Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland, he played a humongous chicken.
Yeah, because you mentioned a certain little red friend. So yeah.
Well, I'll be complaining more about him in a minute.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
How does those?
You'll find out.
Okay,
When I get out of the cast, it'll be in the cast list.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Jerry Nelson played Camilla, Ma Bear, Floyd, Robin the Frog, and many other frogs.
Yes.
And he was Count Von Count in Sesame Street.
Oh.
Richard Hunt played Scooter, Statler, Janice, Beaker, and a frog. And in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, he played Charlie.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, that was a Jim Henson production, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because that's right. Because just remember correctly, in the original version, Kermit the Frog was in the movie.
Yeah, but he got cut out because the Muppets got sold to Disney.
Yeah.
And they could not have that in their subsequent appearances on the
Right.
DVD.
Yeah.
And the DVD came out after Walt Disney bought Disney.
Mhm.
Disney bought Walt. You know what I mean?
Walt Disney bought
Disney bought the Muppets.
Wow. Okay. So who was this third party disguised as Walt Disney? Disguised the
Moving
buy
on.
Walt.
Moving on.
Moving right along.
Digadoom, digadoom. Steve Whitmire was the voice, played Bean Bunny, Rizzo the Rat, Lips, and a frog. And like I said, he would take over most of Jim Henson's Muppet roles after this.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Kevin Clash
Mhm.
played Clifford, some frogs, and the alligator.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go on to play Elmo on Sesame Street.
Well, for me personally, I know Kevin Clash did something wrong way back in the past.
That's why he's no longer playing Elmo on
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
The main one I think of what Kevin Clash did, to quote the character, I made a funny, as in Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one, and Secret of the Use Part 2.
Yeah, but as y'all can probably tell, I don't like Elmo.
Yeah, he doesn't. So if you go back to, I honestly I don't remember what episode it was, because I did Elmo on the cover. I think he was on fire.
I think it was Muppet Family Christmas, because
Oh,
he showed up there.
He did show up.
It was either that or it was
like the big
the Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's
he's
right.
in a background shot on there too, and I remember being angry. I don't
Yes.
think he was on. You could also technically he wasn't on the Sesame Street episode.
No,
He was but he wasn't. He wasn't
was.
Elmo yet. He was just a random Muppet in the background.
Yes.
Of a shot, but he was very obviously going to be Elmo. It's just the character hadn't really been created yet.
Yeah.
Charles Grodin played Quentin Fitzwaller, and in Beethoven, he played the Beethoven films. He played George Newton, the father.
Oh, yeah.
But we more know him as Nicky Holiday on The Great Muppet Caper.
Okay. Gotcha.
Wayne Allwine was the voice of Mickey Mouse in this, and he would go on to play Ludwig von Drake and many other things around this time. And last but not least, Raven Simone was the little girl in this. And at this time, she would definitely been known for playing Olivia Kendall in The Cosby Show.
Yes.
But nowadays, I think most of our generation knows her for playing Raven, and that's So Raven. So
which is such a
entirely different.
This is the early 90s, so she was still a very small child.
Oh yes,
you would very low.
If you wouldn't know that's who that was if they hadn't told you.
Yeah, if you didn't know who, okay.
And yet her name is in the starring credits.
That's which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, like if you're going by,
she was popular.
She was very popular when she was on the Cosby Show.
Mm-hmm. Back when Bill Cosby was not the social pariah he is now.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts connections.
Yes.
How many do you think we have?
Well, I can't go off what we had with like Dragonwary or Titan AE.
I will say I do have it on my list.
But I can't see it.
Well, you can look if you want, because I put extra lines.
Yeah.
So you can't actually make a real guess.
No, but it's one single line, so it's a below 10. So I would presume probably maybe 4, or since this was the early 90s. So there's like it is the 90s. So
Lower.
1.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Wayne Allwine as Mickey Mouse.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yes, because he was still playing Mickey Mouse during Kingdom
He
Hearts. Except there, he'd be known as King Mickey Mouse.
Oh boy.
So yeah, that's all the Kingdom Hearts connections.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I was so hoping there was somebody else, like maybe Frank Oz had played somebody in in Kingdom Hearts I had no idea about, but
yeah.
no, that was unfortunately not the case. Probably because we haven't had an Inside Out world yet. But
true. All right,
what do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. We have a 7.5 out of 10. Now, granted, there's hardly any information about this special. Be like, for all the digging I did to find information, this is all I found. So just bear with me, people. All right, you're able to watch it on YouTube because it's available nowhere else.
Well, it's available on pirate YouTube.
Yeah, pirate YouTube.
It's not actually supposed to be there.
Not supposed to be there, but it's there.
Get it while you can.
Yeah. Before, the mouse takes it out. All right, so Mickey's Mickey, of course, because Mickey wants all control of everything.
Mickey's Mickey.
He sounds like
we don't allow rats in the park. Well, what about Mickey Mouse? Well, Mickey's Mickey.
That is true.
I mean, that's kind of true because Walt Disney World does hire cats to chase mice in the park.
They do. They have a full staff of cats. You can't interact with the cats.
Hilarious.
Which is oh my gosh.
They should let the cats go out in the park during the day. That would be fun.
That would.
They get into lots of places they shouldn't, but
oh my gosh. So I do have to tell this very, very quick story. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, when we had a very sweet young man. He's like 8 years old. His mom works there, and we had this older woman, and she had this pint-sized teacup Chihuahua with her. And it was an apple-headed little Chihuahua because my mom had an apple-headed Chihuahua, and the big head, big bulging eyes. It's a teacup. It's a teacup Chihuahua. And so, Jason, who be like the young boy's name, but like literally starts walking up to this dog. Now, granted, this little dog was very friendly, thankfully, because
whoa.
Yeah.
A friendly Chihuahua?
Very friendly.
That's rare.
Yeah.
Most of the Chihuahuas I have met hate me. And I did nothing wrong to them. All I did was, like you always do when you meet a dog that you've never met before.
Yeah.
You hold your hand out to it, let him sniff, let him know you're a friend.
Exactly.
This is not what most Chihuahuas do. You hold your hand out, they bite.
That is true. But this is one of the cases I was scared to death because he used to be, oh, can I pet it? And just reaching out his little palm. And it's like, oh no, boy, you are gonna get bit by this dog. And I'd be like, I do not want to try to explain this, but this little dog was very kind and very friendly and like didn't bite him. I was like, thank the Lord. But yeah, that scared me out to death. And like, please don't do that.
This reminds me of that YouTube video. I probably should find it, of this guy who's saying, he's sitting on a couch holding a Chihuahua and says, after a long, hard day of work, I like to come home and pet my dog. And he keeps talking and he's going to pet his dog and the dog is just going to town on his hands. And he's just going, he must not be biting real hard.
Yeah.
But the guy just keeps going on like nothing crazy is happening.
And this dog's going bizarre. Going like a mauler to this man's hand. It's like, it's nothing. Perfectly fine.
I don't even know what the guy says because the minute that starts going, I start laughing hard.
I think the clip you're talking about is actually he's a preacher. And he's like, oh yeah, perfectly fine. This dog's just going to town on his hand because it's one of these. It's a teacup and it's a applehead Chihuahua, and they don't have a whole lot of jaw pressure. So it'd be like they can just gnaw their way. They can't. My mom had a dog like that.
Right.
The dog's jaw had become unhinged at one point, and it didn't quite properly heal. So this dog can gnaw you to death and not gonna hurt you.
Unhinged is how I would describe most Chihuahuas.
That is true. That is true. Anyway,
back to info and stuff.
Yes, back to info and stuff. Production was Jim Henson Productions with Walt Disney Television, distributed by distributed. I always have a problem with that word.
Which is why I usually don't fight you, because usually
Yes.
you'll get distribution, and that's close enough for me.
Yes. Distribution was through, if correct me if I'm wrong, NBC Network.
NBC was the channel it aired on, yes.
Yes, NBC Network.
Through the television series The Magical World of Disney.
Yes.
In fact, that's how IMDb listed, which is what made Kingdom Hearts Connection so hard.
That makes sense.
Because you try to do the collaboration search like I normally do,
Mhm.
and the only thing you can pick is Magical World of Disney, which had 35 seasons according to IMDb.
It did.
You know how many false
It goes back
negatives?
to the 60s.
You know how many false negatives you get on that? When you try to do that with
A lot.
Kingdom Hearts?
A lot. Yeah. Kingdom.
So literally, I was going through, okay, click on this person's name, scroll, or Control F, Kingdom, space H. Usually I'd have to do at least that. I go, oh, he's not on there. Okay, moving on to the next one, and have to do that all the way down.
Oh, excuse me. All right. So running time was 47 minutes. So this is a less than an hour production. Less than an hour.
It would have been an hour with commercials.
Yeah,
and there were definitely commercial breaks.
There were.
Our version thankfully cut them out.
Yes, thankfully. Well, that would actually been fun to watch 90s commercials, because that would have been a load of nostalgia.
Well, considering most versions, the one time I've actually watched through the Star Wars holiday special, which is you kind of have the same issue with this, like you have with this,
right?
They did include the commercials on there, but but Riff Tracks left it in there because this was a Riff Tracks version I was watching, because they made jokes about the commercials.
Oh my gosh!
While going through, it's like, oh, the Empire is having a hard time finding these Wookiees. If they would have just brought in Torgo, the robot killer, or whatever it was, the robot Avenger.
Oh my gosh!
They wouldn't have any trouble finding these stupid rebels.
Oh my word! But so again, there's not a lot of information. I couldn't find any data whatsoever that would be like, oh, because how many people watched it that night, or maybe it's other releases, whatever. But there was no information like that. So it was released on May 6th, 1990. 1990, I would have been 7, I think.
I would have been 5.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming I watched this night of originally.
Oh, I'm not surprised with your family.
We would have thought about it at least.
Oh, yeah.
I know we did not record it. I know Grandpa recorded it because it was on a video with many other things.
Right.
That he recorded. So.
Right. So honestly, I feel like I have no nostalgia for this whatsoever. Because there again, my only connection, I believe I may be misremembering something. I'm probably talking to one of my younger was like, oh yeah, we watched this Muppet movie. I just don't remember it.
Well, admittedly, this probably aired once, maybe twice total.
Probably.
And like I said, main reason I know about it was recorded on a VHS that I wore out. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I was trying to check what Steffi had said.
Oh, she was saying that the crazy doggy's name was Lucky, and the guy Paul Rugg does voice impressions. I think talking about the guy I was talking about who's home to pet his dog, and the dog goes.
Oh yeah, okay.
That guy.
Okay,
she's talking about.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But anyway,
yeah, either or. So that is all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. Kermit is coming home to Paradise Swamp for the annual Frog Festival and Bug Fry, and has brought along the rest of the Muppets with him, much to their chagrin. However, upon hearing that Walt Disney World is just on the other side of those trees, the Muppets abandon the festival to go there instead, to Kermit's disappointment. Kermit decides it wouldn't hurt for them to go into the park and look around for a while, but he had left his wallet back at the swamp, and no one else has any money, so the security guard, Quentin Fitzwaller, played by Charles Grodin, won't let them into the park. Animal says otherwise by destroying the turnstile.
Of course.
After entering the park, the Muppets go their separate ways. Rizzo the Rat, just trying to get a hot dog, gets caught by Fitzwaller and is coerced into helping him find the rest of the Kismet gang. Beaker, who got his head stuck in a bait bucket back at the swamp, and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew attempt to go buy some Swedish tacos from the Swedish chef who has set up shop in the Mexico section of World Showcase at Epcot. The spiciness of the taco temporarily causes the bucket to shoot off of Beaker's head, only to land right back on it. Gonzo and Camilla the chicken find their way down into the utilidors, thinking they are some sort of grungy sewer exhibits at Epcot. And they have a romantic day among the dirty laundry in the laundromat underneath the park. The Electric Mayhem, along with Clifford, rock and roll around the world at Epcot's World Showcase. Fozzie and his ma attempt to get some money to buy some lunch, but Fozzie's jokes don't go over well. Statler and Waldorf eventually catch up to Fozzie to heckle him after riding around in a carriage for most of the day. Rolf the dog is caught by the Walt Disney World Pet Care Center for being a stray.
That's hilarious.
Miss Piggy just wants to find the Chinese theater, but Beauregard keeps tricking her onto thrill rides. Kermit and Robin travel around the park looking for the others while also staying out of the grasp of Fitzwaller. Fitzwaller, on the other hand, gathers the Disney World SWAT team, which are the Seven Dwarfs mascot characters, to help him find the Muppets, but they end up being useless. Animal, having been somehow separated from the rest of the Electric Mayhem, chases Snow White around the park. Kermit gets separated from Robin and starts to feel sorry for himself when a little girl, played by Raven Simone, cheers him up by singing Rainbow Connection. Kermit catches up with Fozzie and finds him an audience he needs for his jokes to land and gets money for them by introducing him to the Country Bears Jamboree, much to Statler and Waldorf's chagrin. Eventually, Miss Piggy finds her way to the Chinese theater, but Beauregard, claiming to know a shortcut, gets her to go into the Indiana Jones Stunt Show Spectacular, wherein Miss Piggy is picked to play the Marion character. Seeing Piggy there, Kermit tries to get her attention by waving, only to then get picked up to play Indiana Jones in the stunt show. The rest of the Muppets end up at the stunt show. Piggy and Kermit end up acting out scenes from the climax of Raiders of the Lost Ark, only to then be caught by Fitzwaller. Fitzwaller, having now caught the entire Kismet gang, reports their capture to his boss, Mickey Mouse, only for Fitzwaller to discover that Kermit and Mickey are friends, having met at FOSSA meetings, which is Fictional Animal Stars of America. Kermit and the gang are taken to Mickey's office, while Piggy's stepping away to freshen up. Kermit introduces the gang to Mickey, only for Mickey to wonder where Miss Piggy is. Miss Piggy then enters, looking like she just coming from an award show, and flirts with Mickey. I kind of wonder what Minnie Mouse thinks. After a musical number, the Muppets return to the swamp, but soon realize they left Miss Piggy in the wet cement at the Chinese theater.
That was a fun ending. That was just funny.
Getting into the trivia for this being the last Muppets project worked on before Jim Henson's death, it would be the last time Henson performed the voices for many of his best-known characters, including, as I said earlier, Rolf, the Swedish Chef, and Kermit. Henson died just 10 days after the broadcast premiere. For scenes taking place on the Disney World thrill rides, Dave Goelz actually puppeteered Miss Piggy instead of Frank Oz, who claimed to have motion sickness.
Well, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Especially since you'd probably have to face backwards on that, right?
Yeah, because that would just be a headache.
I still kind of wonder about the safety of the performers on the ride while it's in motion, especially on what is the name of that roller coaster? Anyway, the roller coaster, the mine, the you know the one I'm talking.
The mine train.
So it's got a name. Great Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Okay, there we go.
That's the name of it. Okay. As an in-joke, the announcer at the Indiana Jones attraction says that they need someone from the audience who resembles Tom Selleck, the actor.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Selleck was the original choice for Indiana Jones, but he eventually declined the offer to play him in Raiders of the Lost Ark in order to star in his own detective TV show, P.I. Magnum. This show
Magnum P.I.
Magnum P.I. They wrote it backwards on here.
Yes.
The show became a big hit on television at the time. Clips from Selleck's Indiana Jones audition tapes were included in the Indiana Jones trilogy making of documentary. Ironically, in the episodes of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, both Chip and Dale are dressed as Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I.
Yeah, because the characters were designed after them.
So basically, they're both dressed up as Tom Selleck.
Yes. Because you can... If you want to go really nerdy and like really hardcore nerdy, you can find Tom Selleck's audition as Indiana Jones. And if I remember correctly, there's an episode on Magnum P.I. where he spoofs
Doesn't surprise me.
No, he spoofs Indiana Jones,
Mhm.
which is that was a big movie then. Be like, of course you're gonna do it. And then of course you have Thomas Selleck
Ah.
who tried out for it. So it's just a full circle.
Mm-hmm. Mickey Mouse is the only animated character that appears in the special. Other characters, such as the Seven Dwarves and Snow White, are characters in costumes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Disney doesn't want me to say that. They are the actual characters, and they're not played by other people. And if someone kind of looks like Snow White that you run into them, they were just a friend of Snow White. Moving on.
Okay.
I'm just being funny because this is how they Disney refers to these people.
Fair.
Because they can't claim to actually be playing these people. During the song Rockin' Rollin' Around the World, there is a small cameo and lines from the characters from It's a Small World.
Ah.
I think they are Muppetized versions of the characters from It's a Small World.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Lastly, in our previous episode for The Great Muppet Caper, I mentioned that there was a mystery surrounding Charles Grodin's solo in the film.
Yeah.
You remember the solo in question?
Yeah, because it was what our thought was, and what everyone thought, be like, oh, it's got to be a dub over. It's got to be
even
AD.
Miss Piggy in the movie says, "You can't even sing. You were dubbed." While she's being hauled away by the police for supposedly stealing Miss Holliday's jewels.
Yes,
it was planted on her. Spoiler alert! But well, since then, at the time, my source for that was saying that we did not know who actually sang for Nikki Holiday or for Charles Grodin in that scene, because in no other film does Charles Grodin even appear to sing.
Right.
And the question was, did Charles Grodin actually sing those lines? Because if he did, man lost his call, didn't follow his true calling. And when asked about whether he sang, Charles Grodin was always fairly silent on the matter, and nobody ever claimed to actually play the role. So until recently, it was a mystery as to whether or not Charles Grodin actually sang that part in The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, okay.
I bring this up now because not 10 days after we released that episode, my source for this entire mystery, which is toughpigs.com, which is a Muppets adult, that sounds bad.
That does sound bad.
a Muppets adult fans, a website for adult fans of the Muppets.
Okay. Good call.
And they have a YouTube channel now too.
Ah, okay.
They actually released the results of whatever they were doing to find out their research.
Yeah.
The singer, and it is now listed on IMDb for Charles Grodin, was opera tenor Stuart Kale.
Oh, okay.
He has 3 other credits on IMDb. They're all in Italian, so I don't know what they are. I don't know what they refer to, but yeah, that's who sang their heart out about how they were in love with Miss Piggy.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So that particular mystery has been settled.
Nice.
Let's get into our first likes.
Yes.
What's yours?
My first like is Miss Piggy's discomfort. The entire time. It is gloriously funny.
I kind of agree with this.
So, you have Miss Piggy, who is always Miss Stuffy, like, it's like things gotta be,
she's the diva.
Yeah, she's a diva. And so she is convinced they're going to a 5-star hotel, and they get the frog swamp, and this is disgusting to her. And so then
Kirby, I saw an alligator. That means you're really, really lucky.
That was actually very funny. I was like, oh my gosh, that's funny. So then they go to Walt Disney World, and she gets paired up with, what's his name?
Beauregard.
I've never heard of this character.
Beauregard was in The Great Muppet Caper. He was the taxi driver.
Oh, okay.
That was he was created for that movie, and then he showed up in the last couple seasons of the Muppet Show as the janitor.
Oh, okay.
I believe. He took over from another character who was playing the janitor, but nobody remembers that guy.
Okay.
Because he's only in the first season.
Okay. So like Beauregard, I'm saying
Beauregard.
Beauregard.
It's French.
Okay, Beauregard. So I had my my aunt and uncle had a boxer named Beauregard.
Mm-hmm.
Or correction, my name was Beauregard the Third. Or Beauregard. But really great boxer, very short life. But so Beauregard, being the thrill seeker he is, be like, oh, we gotta go on this ride, and drags Piggy along. It is glorious the entire time. I love hearing Frank Oz scream as is just the funniest thing in the world. I don't say the funniest thing in the world, but it's one of the funniest moments you'll see in a Muppet production.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found it so gloriously funny. Just to be like, I'm rubbing my hands, like, okay, the pig's gonna get it. It's gonna be so fun. She's gonna get thrown or something like that. Obviously, she didn't, but she gets through this battery of all the thrill rides. She just wants to go to the theater and live this posh life and be adored and praised. And it's how she goes from prim and proper at the very beginning when they break into Walt Disney World to everything is in tatters because Beauregard has drug her through everything and force her to ride rides, be like, it's against my will, it's against my will. Literally, that's a great line for that.
This is
I still have it
against my will.
shortened for this.
Against my will. Against my will. This is totally against my will.
That's Piggy in a nutshell, this entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that absolutely hysterical. Beauregard, you did it right, bro. You did it right. That's my first like.
So
Piggy got her upcomings.
As you can imagine, as a kid, Miss Piggy was not my favorite character.
No.
I respected Miss Piggy for who she was in the show, obviously, but honestly, I much more liked Kermit and Fozzie and Gonzo back in the day.
Of course.
So being a 5-year-old boy when this came out, and being of those ages after that, and you know how us boys were with girls at that time. We were all,
cooties.
It was kind of fun as a kid seeing all that happen, and that did, watching this now did bring a smile to my face seeing all that happen. But ironically, those are the parts I think I paid more attention to because that's where all the thrill rides were. But my first like for this is simply. So here's the thing. I liked Bean Bunny as a kid.
Oh, I can imagine.
I love the fact that he was hired to be cute. Because none of the Muppets wanted to be cute anymore. And it's like, that fits so well. But I think the reason I liked Bean Bunny was because he usually, later on at least, is the one who's tortured the most because you can beat him up and nobody cares.
Yes.
This is actually his second time he'd been trotted out, and they were trying to make him a major character going forward at this time. This didn't succeed because he's only in one other major Muppet production besides this, and that was Muppet Christmas Carol, because he's the little orphan waif that helps carry the turkey around at the end.
Oh yeah.
And does sings the song does the caroling at the beginning. That's the character, and that's the only other thing he's really in. He gets traded off, ironically, for Pepe, the King Tron. We won't get into that. But he was in one. He was actually created for a special that came before this that I haven't seen. That was the Easter Bunny's Picnic or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was basically the same character. They just took the character from that and put him with the rest of the Muppets.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
But I kind of liked him in this when I was a kid.
Okay.
And so I still kind of liked him in this at the same time. But he's an example of what I call the small jokes that you wouldn't think would still be funny. And going along with that, Beaker in the Bait Bucket.
Oh gosh,
that is such a stupid joke.
Oh, agree, it is.
It shouldn't be funny, and yet it is.
Fair.
especially with the Swedish tacos, svenska tacos. And I love how the Swedish chef describes the hotness of the sauce. Bring the hot sauce on. Bring the hot and hot. Yabba dabba ha da hot pa nutsa. I don't know why that's funny.
I that is very impressive. Do you remember that line from the
I did. I'm
Swedish
not. For one thing, I'm not saying it correctly.
Oh,
And the
probably
reason I
not.
get away with it is because it's just fake sounding Swedish terms.
Yes.
And plus, I can kind of do a pretty decent Swedish chef impression.
Apparently, yeah, I agree. It was very good.
Bork, bork, bork. I'm going to take the big bird and put him into the big pot, if you remember Muppet Family Christmas.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But anyway, the stuff like that is like, it's so stupid.
Agreed.
But I love that it's there. It's just fun. It has nothing to do with what I consider like the entire reason this thing exists, which was just promote the Muppets being bought by Disney
Mm-hmm.
and sell Walt Disney World to kids, because that's the other reason this thing was made.
Mm-hmm.
But I the little stupid jokes like that, along with what's some other good ones? Well, Rolf getting caught by the pet care center. Guess what? I never got to see when I went to Walt Disney World. The pet care center.
Oh gosh.
Hang on. Gotta kill
the bot. Kill the bot.
Add to bot list. And I gotta go on to. I gotta kill it completely on Twitch. I can't just leave it go. Bork, bork, bork.
Yeah,
there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me a second to figure out where I do this. This doesn't happen that often, so
Yeah. You're welcome, patrons.
that would be spam, scams, or bots. Next, I'm going with spam mostly. And I'm reading the wrong one. I think.
I don't know. Are you?
So yeah, I was for some reason it already disappeared on the thing, so I couldn't actually read what it was they were trying to sell me. Oh, it was viewers. I was correct. Thank goodness.
So was it a bot?
It was a bot, but they were trying to sell viewers.
Oh, okay.
Which is against the terms of service.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you want to get rid of those people pretty quick.
Yeah. Otherwise you get canned yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right. But yeah, just the little jokes that shouldn't be funny, but were just kind of cute to watch. Like the fact that the SWAT team that he gets is the 7 dwarves who are useless in this. Not even Doc is helpful, and Doc's the smartest of the 7.
Mm-hmm.
Just the shots of Animal chasing Snow White.
Oh yeah,
which is funny. It's stupid, but it's funny. But yeah, I really that's my first like is the stupid little jokes that shouldn't be funny but really are.
I got you.
What's your second like?
My second like, you mentioned it in your first like amongst the many. Poor Rolf getting thrown into jail of all things. Because I mean, like I did not expect that because I didn't think about it because of Rolf the dog.
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh, you're off your leash," which I never realized you could have a dog, and I think they had back in the 80s and 90s. They could. I think I could be wrong.
I think you can bring your pets and have them
Kennel?
boarded while you're there.
Yeah,
I think is what the deal is. But I had no reason to ever see that part, so.
Yeah, I found that part absolutely hysterical. It's like, oh no, Like they do the cliche with Rolf the dog,
Mhm.
and it's just funniest thing because of course he's a musical dog.
Yeah.
And of course there's a piano in the dog center.
And like every dog that the Muppets have ever Jim Henson's ever made is in this kennel.
Yes.
Including the ones from the dog food commercials back in the day. Sprocket from Fraggles is in here.
Really?
Yeah, he's in there.
Okay.
A couple other dogs are in there from different things that showed up in like they're in there for like maybe one scene in like the in the Muppet Show at one time, but they still have the puppets, so they used them.
Yes.
Because they happen to look like the paintings of the dogs playing poker.
Oh yeah. Love that.
Things of
Love
that
that
nature.
scene. Love it.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
But no, it is such a good scene because you have this. Because Rolf be like, it's like, oh, you're off your leash. Be like, oh, he puts him with the net. Then next time you know he's like you don't really see Rolf. Do you ever see Rolf in the cage?
No.
Yeah, because
they don't really have any of the dogs in cages.
No, they're not in cages at all.
All you see him is them getting netted.
Yeah, you see him get netted, and the next thing you know, he's playing the piano like Rolf does. And I was like, okay, that's funny. Be like, yeah, even though it's kind of it's not a throwaway scene, but it's just what I like about these, like definitely Muppet films, because they give every character a little bit of spotlight here and there. Because you find in more modern films, they only, because if you have a big cast of characters, they only focus on one or two of them, and they're kind of,
and everyone else is just background characters.
They're background characters, even though they probably desperately need a spotlight on them to, bring awareness and attention to them, kind of bring them up within the ranks of the show, where like maybe at some point you can bring them into the spotlight, like here, instead of like you see so often you'll have like a minor character in the background be like, does this and this and this, does this and this throughout the course of a series, and then all of a sudden they shove this guy in front of the show, and it's just like, where did this come from? So I do appreciate what they do with the Muppets, because they give each and every Muppet, like whoever, like big or small, who that character is, they give them some spotlight, and they give them adequate spotlight in order to flush the story out, because you want to discover where all these characters are going. And of course, Ralph goes to doggy jail, and it's I just find it very funny, very humorous. And there's a lot of these moments where like it's not, because there's not a lot to deep dive into this movie, this little TV special, but overall I thoroughly enjoy where Ralph gets netted, and then next thing you know, he's playing piano with all the other dogs, which is funny. Anyways, that's my second like.
My second like for this, it's the Indiana Jones stunt show spectacular.
Yeah, that was funny.
I knew this was here.
Yes,
I knew it was here. It'd been 25, 30 years since I've seen this, and I kind of knew it was here, but to a degree, I forgot it was here.
Ah, gotcha.
And I'm watching, and because now I'm older, I actually know. Hey, I've seen the Indiana Jones stunt show spectacular.
Right.
I actually know even if I didn't, I know what scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark they're referencing. Ladies and gentlemen, we saw Kermit at the very least pretend to shoot Nazis.
That was
Kermit
funny.
the Frog fighting Nazis. I want to put that out there. We need more of this, please.
Oh, dude, I've got to. You take the first cover of Captain America, and you just sub out Cap with Kermit.
Once again, we're back to that. Why are we making remakes of cartoon films when we have the Muppets? I want a Muppified version of Captain America, the First Avenger, with Kermit the Frog as Steve Rogers. I want to see buff Kermit the Frog. Because obviously normal Kermit the Frog, that's the skinny Steve. Yeah. I want to see buff Kermit with muscles.
Oh my god!
But still, the funny part, but the whole thing is hilarious. Like, I'm not really. I wish Kermit wasn't asking every time he shot the gun, "Are you all okay up there?" And then have to come up and wave and say, "Yeah, we're fine." That's okay. Do you really have to do that even on television? But nice, whatever. But still, the whole part's like, "I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in violence."
As he fires
the gun because he's got to. And then he goes and fights that what in my mind is Dolph Lundgren, even though that's not who that is.
No, it's not.
But Kermit's trying to punch him, it's going boom, boom, and the guy's just looking at it, and Miss Piggy walks up and says, Kermie, haven't I taught you anything? Step aside.
By the way, Disney, if you need another replacement for
Apparently I can do Miss Piggy's voice
for
too.
Miss Piggy, give him a call. Moving right along.
Dig a doom. But yeah, the entire that whole sequence is hilarious to me, and it's the best climax you could give to this thing.
Oh yeah.
And they do make sure everybody's there when at the end of this thing, but it's just so funny watching this go down. And it's like, I don't know if you caught it, but when they did the clapper, that's tells you what scene and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see the name they had on that?
No, I didn't.
Raiders of the Lost Frogs.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh.
I think it was that. It could have been. It may have been pig. It was a pig. May have been a pig pun too. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's just because here's the thing. I still do not think of Star Wars and Indiana Jones when I think Disney. Right.
Right.
But they were still had this connection with Lucasfilm back then. That's why these were at MGM. Both because Star Tours is in this too.
It is.
Miss Piggy apparently had some fun on that one as well. Which having rode Star Tours, and I did ride the original version of Star Tours. I don't know why she was screaming.
It's Miss Piggy.
It's a dark motion ride. I mean, that is strong on some people, but not on me. But yeah, the Indiana Jones Show Spectacular is definitely my second like.
Oh yeah.
What's your third?
My third like, as I go back to my notes. There's a part of me, you really want to do your own self promotion about things. I do want to say one thing. I've already got the design out for the cover, and I shot him the idea of the design. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to. This is cool.
And my reaction was, that's creepy.
Yeah, a little bit. So related to the Muppets, and then you have the episode for TAS, which is Batman the Animated Series with Beta Clay, where first introduction of Clayface. So I literally have Kermit trying to pull away from Clayface, and you can imagine that. So if you follow my social media, like you probably saw it or some form of it. But yeah, or I don't think I posted that yet. I haven't. I don't think I have. Either way, yeah, look forward to that, because that's gonna be a doozy. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do that, because you're dealing with body horror and the whole bit. I was like, I have to do that, because artistic is either or. So into my own selfless self-promotion,
shameless self-promotion,
selfish,
shameless self-promotion.
Thank you. He said it better than I could. Thank you.
I've heard Nathan say it enough times.
Yes, but Fozzie Bear. We've is this the first time we ever get to meet his mother?
No, she appeared in some episodes of the Muppet Show, and she's in, I think, one or two of the specials that came in between here.
Okay,
but I don't remember exactly when she got introduced. Continue. I will look that up real quick.
Excuse me, long day. But I enjoy there again how the Jim Henson production does justice to every character, gives them spotlight. Whatever they're doing, they're going to try to give some kind of little, be like, oh, okay, here's a nod to what this character is doing. Because there again, like I said before, you don't get that a lot nowadays. But overall, be like, you have where poor Fozzie has no idea what he's doing, and his mother comes over, they'd be like, oh yeah, do some routine. It's failing flat. But be like most of the time, like, Fozzie's fairly funny, kind of, because he's Fozzie.
He can be
funny. But when you have Kermit show up, because Kermit is his wingman,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be like, that's even gets better because they're gonna be like, what is Fozzie without Kermit?
Yeah.
And they're gonna you break all these characters up throughout the course, the sprinkling of the film, and this is kind of the real third. It's more this how dynamic they do everything in the show because um like good writing is where you're trying to display what people are doing in order to create a cohesive story, and this is done very well within the confines of a television show or a television um special.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the fact to be like you have this sprinkling of characters throughout the course all throughout the what was then I think it was it was 3 parks back then.
Yeah, 3 parks.
Yeah, it was 3 parks back.
Not that you would have known it from watching the special. More on that
No.
later.
Yeah, but I feel like it's done very well. And I think each character gets a little bit of spotlight attention on each character. I really enjoy that from a writing perspective.
So Ma Bear debuted in the 16th episode of the 2nd season of the Muppet Show, where she was visiting her son on the set. So she was the part of the backstage story.
Oh, okay.
That was doing the wraparound around the skits.
Gotcha.
And then she was in a skit during season 4, but we would have seen her during Muppet Family Christmas because it's her house that they all go to.
Oh, that's right.
Because she had pretty much Airbnb'd her house to the guy the guy from the Fraggles.
Yes.
And was going to go to Hawaii until her son showed up with all his friends. And that's just how it went from there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's where that and then she later goes on to play Fozzie's Fozziewig's mother in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And co-owner of the Fozziewig and Ma's Rubber Chicken Factory.
Gotcha.
But anyway, my third like for this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kind of jump off. Well, before I do my third like, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
The Country Bears Jamboree.
Okay.
Granted, I don't know those characters as well because I don't think they have shown up a lot outside of the parks.
Okay.
But did one of them look like Brer Bear from?
Yeah, you're right. It did look like Bear
from Song of the South.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
No, you're not.
I saw that go. Brer Bear is in the Country Bears. That makes sense. But
he is.
Good night.
No, he's not. He's actually part of the Bears. But ever since he's a bear character, they brought him out.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a regular in that show since he had the stuff. But at the same time, this was when Michael Eisner was still the head of Disney, and Michael Eisner loved the movie Song of the South, which is the only reason it got home video because he's the one who pushed it. That's around the time that Splash Mountain was built too.
Wow.
And it would be after he left that Disney decided they were ashamed of it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, my third like for this, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought about it again while we were talking, when you were talking about yours.
Yes.
But my third like here is actually, I keep wanting to call him Eugene, but it's Quentin Fitzwaller. Charles Grodin's role.
Yes.
Every Muppet production has to have a human guest star, at least one, and this technically has 2 because you've got Raven in there also. But I love. Granted, he's a goofball. I get that, but he does such a good job. Like, yeah, you're the guy we're looking. You're the villain of this thing, basically. We're looking. We are so ready for you to get your comeuppance, but with him trying to desperately to try and get all the Kismet's gang, as he calls them, all the trouble he goes through, and even having Rizzo quote unquote helping him, but he's not really getting what Rizzo's telling him half the time. So when he finally does catch them and calls up his boss Mickey to report the capture of the dangerous Kismet game, finds it, and Mickey over the phone finds out that that's Kermit the Frog, and you could just see the look of happiness on his face just fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, you are in trouble now, buddy. Uh, because you just captured one of Mickey Mouse's friends.
Mm-hmm.
But Charles Grodin does such a good job for what this role is.
He
He's
does.
just fun to watch in this. And here's an interesting little trivia piece for about one of your hosts of this particular show. I thought when I watched back when I was a kid that this was Steve Martin.
Oh, okay.
And fun, and I think I mentioned
That is funny.
I think I mentioned this in Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah.
I thought Charles Grodin in that was Harrison Ford.
They get it.
I want to. Granted, I was a kid and stupid at the time, but I like to point out that I somehow confused two men who look nothing alike with this guy, Charles Grodin. I apologize, Charles Grodin, or his family, because I think Charles Grodin has passed since this. But I literally thought you were Harrison Ford in one movie and Steve Martin in this one. So my apologies. But yeah, he's for the stupid goofball that you're just waiting to get his comeuppance and quit bothering our heroes of this, or I don't know if you can call them heroes, but yeah, I think he does a good for the role he's got. He does a good job, and he does ham it up pretty good. Is it stupid? Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. Enjoyed his performance. So
all right, so for our listening audience and our streaming chat, Charles Grodin passed away on May 18th, 2021.
So it was recently.
Yeah, it was recent.
I could remember. I thought he had passed.
Yes.
So that brings us to our dislikes.
Yes.
What is your first dislike?
One second. I went down a rabbit hole, so excuse me. All right, so my first dislike, again, it's not even a nitpick. It's more the fact that this was Jim Henson's last production of the Muppets thing. But like, there again, over the course of like, I think it was like a couple of months, but like he did do specials here and there. But this was his last.
By the time this came out, he died 10 days after it broadcast.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, hold on, because I thought you said he died 10 days after production wrapped.
No, it was after this broadcast.
So he did see the broadcast.
He did see the broadcast because he died 10 days after.
Yeah.
He had his I didn't catch when the actual production of this happened.
Okay.
I'm assuming during the summer because it looks very nice, bright and shiny.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Florida.
Yeah.
I'm from what I understand, they probably produced this and then he did a couple of other live talk show things because they have to make the circuit every once in a while.
You got to
probably did some stuff for Sesame Street in the middle of that. I don't actually have any of the production information on when all this hit, but continue.
Yeah, so it was more of a.
This was not his last production.
Wasn't his last production,
but this was the last
big production.
This was the last one that was not a talk show.
Yeah, but like it is sad to hear because they're gonna be like, I think Jim Henson, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie, because his team and him produced the Suits, which was in 1989, came out in 1990, and I think the film premiered just before his death.
Yeah.
So
but that would have been done far before this.
Oh, it was, but yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a shock. It was like, wow, okay. This was one of the last big things he ever did before he passed. And it's sad in general.
Yeah,
when you have such a creative genius like Jim Henson pass away, like we all are gonna meet our maker at some point or another. But it is sad to hear whenever someone does die. Like for example, a coworker of mine. She had gotten news that one of her friends who she wasn't really affiliated with anymore had passed away or she had terminated the life of her husband over something or another, which is always devastating to hear when you hear someone's
Mhm.
passing. But yeah, it's
You
just
say
that.
did you say she murdered him?
Yes, she did.
Okay, okay.
She
I'm just making
well,
sure I caught that.
here's the story. What she told me was um apparently he had burned their cars over whatever it was, and she came out with him a gun because apparently he
Okay.
cheated on her or something like that, and she shot him dead. And now apparently she's going to go to the jail the rest of her life, which
Okay.
is sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you never know when your time comes. When they're gonna, if you don't know Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior,
Mhm.
talk to somebody, because you're be like the lifespan we have is about this long compared to the infinite possibility of eternity.
Mhm.
So if you think, oh, I have tomorrow, guess what? You don't.
Yes, RC Steph, that did take a turn. Welcome to the Cellcast.
Yeah, welcome to Zellgas.
Where Jacob will go off onto true crime without you even realizing that's where he's going.
It's like, well, the fact that like me and Ashley, I think our really big connection.
You're a touch desensitized. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'd be like, yes, I'd be like, I am kind of.
You're more desensitized than I am.
Yeah, when you listen to so much and you watch so much true crime, it's like, oh yeah, someone just died.
It's
like, what?
Murder?
Murder?
We're talking about murder?
Yes, we're talking about murder.
On a show about the Muppets?
Yes, oddly enough,
Actually, I want Muppets Clue, please.
Oh my gosh, you are not kidding.
Or just a Muppet murder mystery would be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So I had a coworker, she was asking about this, asking about the podcast, and it's like, you need to do like a murder mystery, or like you read about murders, and it's like, oh, so you mean true crime, like, oh, that'd be fun. I can't be like, I think it would be the hardest thing to get my wife involved, because she doesn't like this kind of stuff at all, because it'd be like me and her very opposite when it comes to be like, she doesn't like being around a lot of people. I'm very much, hey, let's talk. So, and hint, I do a podcast because I like talking about stuff. Now, granted, if you had met me, probably, again, I'm going on tangents, maybe about 20 years ago, there's no way I thought I would have done this. Now, moving forward through sanctification and what have you, yeah, I'm perfectly fine talking to a bunch of people online, or be like, if it comes to it, like, hey, in front of a bunch of people at some point, you never know.
So I will say, getting us back on track.
Yes.
When they started singing Rainbow Connection.
Oh, yeah.
I initially started singing along with it because I know the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great song. I love the song. And then about 2 lines into me singing, the realization hits me. This was the last time Jim Henson sang this song. I started crying.
Oh, wow.
It just hit. It was one of those that just hit me out of the blue. Because let's face it, I'm 39 years old, and I am far more emotional than that probably looks, if we're being honest. Yeah. And things will just hit me weird now.
Oh, yeah.
When with realizations like that.
Well, to be fair, is like, as you get older, like I remember as a kid, be like, you would cry for no reason.
Yeah.
I think as an adult now, you do the exact same thing.
Except because it's not for no reason. It's like,
no,
oh, yeah, I just thought of this thing happening, and it's like, oh,
yeah, the realization of something. Oh my gosh, it hits home.
I can be empathetic, but one thing I was going to ask you before I go into my my first dislike.
Yeah,
have you ever watched any of the clips from Jim Henson's funeral?
I think I have. I think I saw something along those lines.
So what I'm going to say sounds like it's kind of a joke or creepy when I say this, but most of the people who worked for Henson had their characters.
I remember that,
and they were puppeteering their characters during the funeral.
Yeah.
Carol Spinney, who plays Big Bird, goes on stage as Big Bird and sings "It's Not Easy Being Green," and it will break your heart.
Wow.
The song from Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, the one about going down the river.
Yeah.
that very kind of hymn-like song.
Mhm. Yeah.
That sang at his they sang that at his funeral.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing is, unfortunately, Jim Henson I don't think was a Christian.
Yeah. I don't think he was either.
Because he had a very the jokes about from Muppet movie where it's like I feel lost, so he tried Hare Krishna. Those were his jokes.
Mhm.
And from what I saw from the documentary, he was just a very open faith person. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, he was. He was.
So I don't
I
think.
think I saw the exact same.
Yeah,
that
it's
was a good documentary.
It's a good documentary that
Yeah, it's on
Disney put
Disney
out.
Plus. Yeah, it's good one. Go watch it.
You do need to go watch that. But that funeral is it's
Mhm.
something you should watch.
Yeah.
And it was like I think it was nationally broadcast too. That's one of the weird things about it. But
That makes sense. He was a very iconic
right, and this was
creator.
and this was basically still at the height of Jim Henson Productions.
Mhm.
And yeah, the Muppets were starting to fall off
Mhm.
of their popularity. Hey, they would come back for a little bit, but I mean, this was after when they were at their most popular
Mhm.
with the Muppet Show. But yeah. Anyway, my first dislike for this, unless you had something else.
No. Like it's the fact that I'm reminded of a Daughtry song, Chris Daughtry's band, off his first song of his I think it's his first or second album. It's like Gone Too Soon. And be like, it's just be like, now I don't believe in the idea be like, oh, you're gone too soon, because God's gonna call you whenever.
I mean, when it's time, it's time.
Yeah, be like you don't have this, because I understand why they say that, because it's more comforting.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Be like, you don't want to, it's like, well, be like, did he know Jesus Christ right when you were mourning? No, you don't want to hear that.
Right.
But yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, I can go on a tangent here.
After this sad moment on the Cellcast, I'm going to come back to something that kind of does bug me, and this is definitely a nitpick. And it's a nitpick I did not realize was there until I actually got to go to Walt Disney World. Because here's the thing: if you don't live in Florida, especially at this time, the internet is not really a thing yet.
No.
And this is your
it is,
own,
but it's not
it is
broadcast.
Yeah. And you live in Texas, where the amusement park you're going to go to most likely is Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington.
Yeah.
And you know of Disney, at Walt Disney World, but you have never been there. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You're a stupid little brat like I was for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I see this, and in my mind, that is one park. The Sleeping Beauty, no, Cinderella Castle that's there. I think that's Cinderella's Castle at Disney World.
Yes,
because it's Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland. Okay, but Cinderella's Castle, in my mind, for years until I actually went to Walt Disney World myself, was in the same park as the giant Epcot ball that I now know is called Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
And I thought Disney MGM Studios was in the same park. And I thought it made perfect sense that in one day you could easily walk from the Chinese theater recreation there at Disney MGM Studios, and you could walk all the way to Epcot and then walk all the way to the Disney, the Magic Kingdom. Yes. And I thought you could, this was all in just one, because I'm thinking Six Flags. Okay?
Yes.
I was young and Six Flags was huge. I did not have any idea in my mind that this park, the park I was seeing was actually 3 parks the same size as Six Flags Over Texas, in a giant resort the size of my town I grew up in. Had no clue. And I didn't think of any of that. I went to Disney World. I found out, it's actually, by the time I went there, 4 parks and like 3 water parks. And then now there's a shopping area that's on one side. And then there's, all these other different things, all that, because it's just huge. If you've never been to Walt Disney World, it is the size of a city. And it's mostly unused. There's hotels, there's all this other stuff, but never thought of it being anything bigger than a park about the size of Six Flags Over Texas.
Yeah.
Because that was my context. And so even though I went to Walt Disney World back in 2002 and I experienced all 4 parks,
Mhm.
I hadn't made the connection even then that what I had seen in that commercial was in that special wasn't remotely true. It wasn't until back in December when I found the YouTube of this and put it on the list and had watched the whole thing from beginning to end that I realized, hey, Piggy and Beauregard enter Walt Disney World at Disney MGM Studios, and then somehow got all the way to Great Thunder Mountain Railroad in the Old West section of Magic Kingdom,
Yeah.
came back to Disney MGM Studios to ride Star Tours, went back to Magic Kingdom to ride the teapot, the teacups,
Mhm.
and then came back to MGM to go see for the Indiana Jones Stunt Show Spectacular.
Yes.
Now, for curiosity's sake, because it's been over 20 years since I've been to Disney World, but I was thinking, okay, I know you can take the monorail from Epcot to Magic Kingdom, but I think you have to take the bus to get from MGM over to at this time you'd probably have to take the bus to get from MGM to Epcot. Although now the more I've thought about it, I think there is a path, like a sidewalk thing you can walk, because those 2 parks are fairly close. But still, that's a long distance for them to have. That's just one set of characters, because all the other characters are walking around all over the place.
Yes.
They make it look like all these things are right here. And literally they're this far apart.
Yes.
I think that's technically false advertising. Technically. Granted, I'm not going to fight Disney on this or Jim Henson, because you do still have to make this thing in such a way where it's entertaining to watch.
Right.
And you do want to show off all the different parts. I get that. But wow. It makes, like Artsy stuff says, the power of jump cuts makes it real small. Yeah, that's the thing about this, is it does make these parks feel a lot smaller. The Rockin' All Around the World section doing the world tour around the World Showcase there at Epcot, which is half of Epcot.
Yes.
That makes that area look tiny. It's huge. There's a giant lake that this thing goes that this World Showcase thing goes around. It is I'm convinced you could fit Magic Kingdom in this lake. That's how big it is. I don't like the fact that they made Walt Disney World feel small. Granted, that's me looking at it now at the age of 39. I will admit that.
Yes.
But as a kid, it was just one of those things that threw me. It's like, wow, these Muppets can run. Because that's the only way they're making it the distances they're going in one day. Plus, I think you still have to go in and out of park turnstiles between the parks. One way or another. There's not a way you can just go get to a thing in one park and they take it inside the next park. I don't think that's how it works. Although I do know the monorail station at Epcot is actually in the park, but I think you still have to go through turnstiles at that station to get into the park.
Okay.
Either way, yeah, I don't like how small they made Walt Disney World feel, and I feel that's actually bad for the advertising of the resort, because they made it feel like it was one park, and it's 3. What's your second dislike?
My second dislike. Let me get my notes back up because I got a little distracted. Surprise to nobody.
I went on too long and you got bored.
Yes. So
I love how you didn't even correct me on that.
No, of course not. Of course not. Oh my gosh. So the tunnels. So there again, this is not Drew's fault at all.
Yeah.
Let me emphasize this with every ounce of clarity I can. This is not Drew's fault. This is mine. Because Drew would say, "Oh my gosh, they show the tunnels, they show
the utilidors.
Utilidors."
I don't think they're actually the utilidors.
No, they're not. They're
There's
not.
no
So-
way those are the actual utilidors.
So I'll be like, I've got this picture in my head, be like, oh, they're gonna show like all these great pictures of the utilidors, and because I be like, obviously being the nerdy researcher guy that I am, be like, you go and
there
like,
are pictures of the
there
real
are pictures
utilidors
of
out
it.
there, and
And
that's
the-
not what this looks like.
no, it's not, because be like, I watched it and it was like, okay, you get one scene in the laundromat, and it's one scene, and it'd be like it's shot from a completely different angle from these characters are, because it looks like what they did was they had access to the utilidors, but they could only shoot in this one room in this one angle. So what it looks
those
like,
things are supposed to stay a secret.
oh yeah, like none of that's supposed to
We're
be.
not, we people know about them, but
Mm.
Disney is like, Disney approaches those things like, yeah, it does exist. We're not telling you anything about them.
Yeah. So
you don't need to know what's down there. That will ruin the magic. Oh, the Muppets want to go down there? Fine. That does make sense for Gonzo.
yes, but like watching the scenes, because there again, Drew was hyping this up. Oh gosh, you can see the
I wasn't
utilidors.
attempting to hype it up.
Yeah, but for me, that's what I was getting. And I'm watching this scene. It's like, this is just a set, because it's a very small little set. You don't get to see anything, because it looks like a tunnel, but it's more like Gonzo. From Gonzo, he's a puppet, so he's this big or this big, and you see him and his girlfriend, his chicken girlfriend, walking through these tunnels, but it's not really a tunnel. It's just, it's a small set.
In all fairness, they never call it the utility.
No, they don't. They said, like, oh, it's a tunnel.
The closest description we get to anything is that at one point, Gonzo says, "Look, we found this crazy sewer exhibit."
Yeah, that is true.
That's the closest we ever get.
Yeah.
So
with there again, not your fault. They're gonna be like, I had it. Oh my gosh, they actually see the utilidors.
yeah, but no, they
The
didn't
tunnels.
actually.
You don't.
film
You
this,
don't get to
so
see
this
them. You really don't. You get this one very odd shot. Like they were allowed to shoot it like just for a couple of seconds, and then like, okay, cut off. But
I think everything in the quote unquote laundromat was in the actual one that's
Yeah,
under
that
there, where
was-
they clean all the costumes.
yeah,
But they're only in the one room,
Mhm.
and they maybe get it from, they get two different angles, and that one machine that they had to put Dave Goles on it somehow.
yes,
So that he could perform the song while Gonzo's going up the conveyor belt.
yeah.
I assume that's not an animatronic Gonzo. It might be.
Who knows? Who knows? But it was more. It's like, okay, that's all we get from the utilidors. Because they're gonna be like, this park right now. Let's see. This was built back in the 60s. No,
No, 7.
it was the late 60s into the 70s
Yeah.
when they were building
And,
Disney World.
Magic Kingdom was not a carbon copy of
No.
Disneyland, but it was meant to just be the West Coast version of Disneyland.
Yeah. You know, like they added the utilidors because, you know, Walt Disney didn't like seeing trash.
Yeah.
And they had all these little rules that he wanted to go by. But
And it's
let-
only like under 3/4 of the park.
yeah, a bit like it's really expanded off and on.
Yeah.
But like I was slightly disappointed because I was thinking like, oh my gosh, we get to see all these amazing tunnels and this. No, we get to see this little maquette version of
They
what the utilidors might look like.
Obviously, they couldn't go to the actual utilidors because if they went down the wrong one,
Yeah.
they'd find Walt Disney's frozen head. And you can't show that on
Or-
television.
Or Minnie smoking a cigarette or something like that.
Can you imagine? You're walking through there, you go into a break room, and Goofy's just there with this giant cigar coming out of the costume. It's like Pete's the one who's supposed to have that, not
Yes.
you.
Oh, there's an infamous photo that was taken years ago under the tunnels, where it was the actor and the actresses who were playing I think it was Minnie Mouse and like some other character just
Mhm.
making out, just not
Yeah.
be like without the heads on. And
And then,
yeah,
and then they got fired.
they got fired for it because you can't do that. But I was like, oh, okay,
You
that's
can't even-
funny.
you can't even put it on your resume that you played a Disney princess.
which is kind of
You have to put, I was a friend of this princess.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I want to point out that that means there's someone out there who on their resume says, I am a friend of Darth Vader.
And so, like, there again, sidetrack beyond belief. So, what I understand, so you have Jodie Benson, the original voice of Ariel.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, her daughter, I can't remember her name, be like, apparently now either she works for a production of Disney or she's working for Disney, and she's playing Ariel.
She played Ariel on,
Ironic.
she played Ariel on something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was something like she played her mother's character either in an official Disney thing. So I just find that very ironic. The fact to be like Jodie Benson, who is the iconic voice of Ariel, her biological daughter becomes Ariel.
I think it's on Broadway.
Oh, that's right. It is a Broadway show.
Delaney Benson currently plays Little Mermaid in the production on Miami's area stage. This was in July of last year.
Oh, okay.
So she is playing Ariel on, I think, the Disney production of it, but at a different.
It's off Broadway.
Maybe on tour.
Yeah, it's on tour.
But anyway.
But yeah, so that's just freaking wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But either or, be like side tangent over. But yeah, Utilidors. I was expecting more. I was expecting really, really cool, elaborate shots. Because here's another one. So
hang on. I got this tangent. Really quick.
Okay.
Three words.
10 minutes.
3 words. The Piggy Mermaid.
Piggy Mermaid. Okay.
Remake of Little Mermaid with Miss Piggy playing Ariel.
My gosh.
I mean, she'd be great as Ursula, for being honest.
You're not kidding.
But I can't.
You are not kidding.
But my first thought was, oh wow, you could have a love triangle with Kermit the Frog and Ursula, and a cute random human.
Oh no!
Sorry.
Oh my gosh! But wow, like
instead of in the Caribbean or in Norway, wherever the first, or Denmark. Sorry,
Denmark.
You put it in the Florida swamp. The Swamp Mermaid.
A whole new world.
Fozzie's playing Flounder.
No,
Fozzie is playing Scuttle. Fozzie as Scuttle. Tell me that's not brilliant. That makes far more sense than Aquafina.
I don't know. Aquafina was kind of funny, but I understand why some people didn't like Aquafina's performance.
I don't like Aquafina in that movie, and okay. I'm starting to get to where I don't like Aquafina in a lot of her stuff. But anyway,
either or. So yeah, it was but like my high expectations, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get this and this. I can believe got more my tangent was gonna be, but
sorry,
no, you're good. But
I just had that thought, and I had to share it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yes, but
the swamp grass is always greener in somebody else's pond.
I'm done. I'm done.
You think about going. You have puppet versions of Tiana and what's his name from Princess and the Frog just be in the background and say something. Better! Princess and the Frog, but with Kermit and Piggy.
I like the first idea better than they show up in the background.
I don't care. Anyway, moving on.
Moving right along.
Dig-a-doo.
But yeah, just I had this high expectation we're going to see all these great things from the Utilidors. And
I am sorry for misleading you on that. That was not my intention.
It's all good.
It's supposed to represent the Utilidors.
Yes, agreed.
My second dislike for this. My second dislike for this is Kermit the Frog having his hopes dashed.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah,
Kermit was just wanting to. Granted, Kermit should have known better.
Yeah, agreed.
He really should have known better. But I feel so sorry for Kermit. He was bringing his friends home to meet his family, he had this great idea.
Mhm.
It was a bad idea in reality, but for him, it sounded like a great idea.
He's bringing all his friends home with him.
Yes. And Gonzo likes the bugs later on. So I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
it's
he's
not a
Gonzo.
horrible idea,
Right.
but I hate how bad Kermit had to feel going through. It's like, oh, I got to get all my friends to come away from the golden city that is Walt Disney World and go back to the swamp
Yeah.
because we got scum skimming.
Yes. Well, to him, it'd be like it's a family tradition.
Yeah,
He
it's
wants
family
everybody
tradition.
to
It's fun.
understand
That's
that.
how he's looking. It's like,
Yeah.
this is a fun time to meet my family and all this other stuff. I think you'll enjoy it. Oh, by the way, Walt Disney World's over there. Oh, where'd y'all go? I get it.
Yeah.
I can understand why the Muppets would rather go to Walt Disney World
Fair.
than to do the scum skimming and the thing and eat mosquitoes. And Kermit should have caught on that everybody was only he and Robin were the ones having a good time. But yeah,
they don't know what it is to be green. They don't know to be a frog. It'd be like, but it's like, the total appeal
Kermit should have caught real fast that his vision was not happening.
Yeah, fair.
And said, "Oh, well, if y'all can go to Walt Disney World and we can come back later." If he'd have done that, I think it would have been better, and you wouldn't have lost anything. But
fair.
And granted, he kind of did that because it's like, whoa, I'd pay for y'all to get in, but I left my wallet back in my knapsack in the swamp. I don't know, I felt bad for Kermit throughout most of this because I think he had what to him made so much sense of sharing his culture with his chosen family by having them meet his blood family. And it just did not go. It just did not work. And probably the worst part of all is the fact that Miss Piggy couldn't stand it.
Very true.
So yeah, and you can say what you want about Piggy and Kermit's relationship. I'm sorry, Kermit does love Miss Piggy. As much as I hate to admit it, it's just that she also is a diva and can drive him hopping mad.
Yeah, she's very, like, I want to say she's very narcissistic, but she really isn't, because it's Miss Piggy. But like, yeah,
she actually does care.
She does
for
care.
Kermit and everybody else.
Yeah,
we'll see that when we get to the Muppets, that film.
Right.
But and you can see it throughout the other thing, but I don't know. I just felt so bad for Kermit because he had this great idea and it got dashed.
Yeah.
So and he felt miserable throughout the entire film instead of allowing himself to enjoy Walt Disney World.
Right.
So yeah, that's my second dislike. What's your third?
My third dislike, because we have this whole thing like, oh, Mickey Mouse is in it. Mickey Mouse. Be like, oh, you know Mickey. Oh, okay. Be like all these little things because of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And you make Mickey Mouse the head honcho, the whole bit.
Makes sense.
So in my mind's eye, it'd be like, I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna get the characterization of Mickey.
You were expecting Muppet Mickey, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, not really Muppet Mickey. I was expecting the 90s equivalent of the walk around character. That's going to be there and be very energetic. Be like, he talks, but you never see his mouth move because that's the character. But no, I liked what they did, but I was, because there again, my 21st century mind thinks, okay, I'm looking for this Mickey, not the 1990s Mickey.
Admittedly, I will say that every time you saw a commercial for Walt Disney World where Mickey Mouse was in it, it was never animated Mickey.
No,
it was always mascot Mickey.
Yeah.
So I get that.
That's what I was mascot Mickey.
It's the wrong context for the Mickey you saw.
Yeah.
I get that. I actually liked what they did, but I get why that would be distracting for you.
Yeah. And like a bonus to that, be like, you watch the animation, you watch the puppetry, they don't match.
No.
Because Mickey is looking everywhere else, because apparently they animated this and then had to somehow seem knit these things together, and it didn't really work because
that hug that Mickey
Oh
gives Kermit
Oh my god.
is so awkward.
It is so
'Cause
awkward.
Mickey doesn't know where to put his hands.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't know what because he's grabbing because he's an animated character.
Right. They did not have time to actually
No.
do Roger Rabbit this.
Yeah.
Which is sad because Roger Rabbit was in the opening.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like because poor Roger Rabbit, it really hasn't been really utilized much as Disney because they should have, but they didn't. But
No, Disney has a rights issue when it comes to Roger Rabbit because they've got. Is it really a good Roger Rabbit thing if you don't have all the different cartoons?
that's true, but you can do Roger Rabbit,
You
as
could,
Roger Rabbit.
but the reason the Roger Rabbit cartoon became bonkers was because they couldn't get the Warner Brothers characters.
That is true.
So
Yeah.
So I think there may be more of a rights issue than we realize.
Yeah, probably.
But
overall, be like, I think I was slightly disappointed because I was expecting the mascot character, and the animation itself for Mickey Mouse is it's that 90s design of Mickey back in the 90s. But there again, when you're doing puppetry and animation, it is extremely hard to get right, and they don't get it right. It is way off mark.
yeah, they did not
It looks so janky.
they did not have the budget to do it right.
No,
in
they
this.
didn't.
Were doing it in a hurry on a TV budget. It was good enough to get to they deemed it good enough and put it out there. And on a CRT television, I probably didn't notice or
Probably
care.
didn't notice. But in modern televisions with a rebroadcast, it's like, yeah, it
even though
looks
we're
bad.
watching a rip from a VHS that even has a glitch during Raven's scene.
It does. It does. But it's like, yeah,
it's still noticeable. It's like, oh, that's nowhere. Mickey is not in the same room with Kermit.
No, it's not. Because there again,
and the Muppets, they are, when they're nodding along with what Mickey's saying, they're like, it looks so fake.
It does.
It looks faker than what Muppets usually do. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Because
they don't know, even though it's being said, it sounds like.
Yeah, because they're having to, cross what's good word good. They're having to interweave both these with puppetry and animation.
Right.
And it's really hard to do.
Yeah. It's just they got they had this very ambitious scene. And honestly, you want Kermit the Frog and Mickey Mouse to meet.
Oh yeah,
I get that you want all that to happen, and they have that great
work.
You have that great little bit where Mickey Mouse talks about says their theme song. I'm trying to think of it. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Yeah.
And then Kermit mentions, we say, someday we'll find at the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. And then I think it's Floyd that says, "Oh no, they're arguing philosophy." And I got to think, it's like, yeah, that is kind of the different philosophies.
It is
too.
Very different philosophies.
Very different philosophies, but at the same time, it's like, this isn't mixing that the animation and puppetry is mixing about as well as these philosophies are.
Yeah, it's like oil and water. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it could have worked.
It could have worked.
It could have worked.
Yeah, if they had the time and the budget to do it. Yeah,
if this were a legitimate movie, like if they had made this the Avengers of 1990 with the Muppets and Mickey Mouse meeting, and they animate, all the Disney characters, and they put money into it like they did with Roger Rabbit, this could have looked great and worked well. Unfortunately, they didn't have that kind of time.
They didn't have that kind of time. And
this was they probably animated Mickey's scenes in 3 days.
That
if it took that long, because he's not even animated that well.
No, he's not. It'd be like there's no shadowing. There's hardly anything. Like there's a point where it'd be like you see a shadow, but it's not connecting. Because this scene kind of just like, really?
I mean, the mouth movements for Mickey are barely matching what he's saying.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is weird. Because it's like, this is Mickey Mouse. This is your mascot. He should look buttery smooth and perfect. But anyway.
Yes. So that's my third dislike. Be like, you finally get to meet Mickey and the scene completely doesn't work. What is your third and final dislike?
I'm to the nitpicky parts of this, if we're being honest. I like your third dislike about that animation just not being there, and I do agree. I kind of let it go because of what it was. And yeah, I wish it was better, but this is meant to be a quick. It's meant to be a smash and go job. I can see that.
Agreed.
And I'm willing to let it be that because some of the '90s Disney animation that's obviously cheap looks about as bad and it's not when it's fully animated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trying to also sit on top of a live action backplane. My third dislike is Michael Eisner. I don't like his intro sequence. Granted, I never saw Michael Eisner's intro sequence on this before because my bootleg VHS starts right at them walking through the swamp and the title, The Muppets at Walt Disney World. It's after Michael Eisner's thing with Fozzie and them tearing up his suit.
Yeah.
That I know that's the introduction is supposed to be, hey, here's what we're watching tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary. I think they could have just gone straight from that magical world of Disney intro. They could have gone straight into the special itself, like I saw it as a kid, and it would have been fine. It doesn't help. I'm not a big fan of Michael Eisner in general.
Fair.
From a lot of the things I've read, especially he was at Paramount for a while when the Star Trek movies were being made. I have opinions on his decisions there. We won't go there. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Michael Eisner. Granted, he's might have been the best one since Roy and Walt Disney were head of Disney in terms of CEOs of the company.
Fair.
Don't get me wrong, I like some of what Bob Iger has done. But there's some things there I also don't like. And I get that Michael Eisner was more worried. He pushed some things through, especially at the park level, that went against the general way things go. And he's the reason why California Adventure, as that theme park was originally introduced, is no longer the way that theme park is shown now because they've completely retold it because his original vision of it sunk very poorly. But I just didn't. His part in this was useless. It could have been left out, and I would have been fine. I like the modern era where the CEO is only showing up in press conferences.
Fair. But also, to be fair, that was the
tradition brought on by Walt, and Roy Disney did it too. I don't remember if there was how many other CEOs were in between Roy Disney and Michael Eisner.
There was one, and then they brought Eisner in.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that, but
yeah, that was kind of a corporate takeover very shortly.
Yeah, and granted, I do, to use a similar situation, with Nintendo, I always enjoyed it when they had Reggie and Mr. Iwata do all the presentations, and then once Mr. Iwata passed and Reggie moved on to do something else because he's no longer at Nintendo of America, and they brought in the new guys on, which ironically, considering one of them's name is Doug Bowser.
Yeah, Doug Bowser.
And they only had one thing with him where he pretty much where when they were introducing him and Bowser came out and they had to say, no, this guy, not you, Bowser. This guy named Bowser.
Yeah.
And they had the fun bit where they introduced him on like an interview, and when you look in the back of the picture, you can see Mario and Luigi are tied up. They did some fun things like that, but then they just that fell off, and I missed that with that, and so I kind of understand why in the modern era why that would be disappointing for them. But I just don't like Michael Eisner, and I don't think he did a good job introducing this special because his line really was, we're here at the Grand Floridian with Fozzie, and then Fozzie gets butter on Michael's jacket. And Michael says, oh, that's fine. I can get it washed. And the Muppets come and they try to do it, but then they destroy it. And they go, and then he says, they're here. And then it goes to things like that was completely useless and could have been forgotten. And I know now why Grandpa skipped this when he recorded it, because this was bad.
Yeah, because it's Michael Eisner. Eisner was never really a good actor.
Yeah.
Like all his intros are so cheesy and wooden because they're supposed to be they're supposed to be cheesy.
They're
But at the same
supposed to be
time, it's
cheesy,
just it's
but
this
he's
very
not-
odd
he's not-
Gouda cheese.
He's not. The problem is he's not likable in this role. Not in the same way Roy or Walt was.
No. Well, it's hard to be like when
And it's great. It's hard to stand up to Walt Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
To be that follow-up act, because Walt Disney was just he was so charismatic.
Yeah.
With everything he did, but yeah, but yeah, they could have left off the Michael Eisner bit
They could
here, and
have.
I would have been happier.
Yeah.
Because that was literally the most disappointing thing watching this thing. Oh, Bob, they got Michael Eisner doing this intro. I wonder what they'll do with him. Well, that was lame.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, it is tradition, and Eisner
Yeah.
was doing that at the time.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I just think it could have been skipped.
Could have.
It probably should have been skipped, but I know you don't say no to the boss. But
Yeah, exactly.
that's my third and final dislike. We need to rate this thing.
Yes.
What are you rating it?
I am rating this. I always get the number out of sequence when it comes to my pad. So I'm giving this a 7. I'd be like, I enjoyed it. Be like, yeah, it does have a little flaws because it is a TV special, and there is little parts like little Raven Simone trying to do her best. There is that little sweet moment between her and Kermit. It is a fun little special that I think people need to enjoy. That the fact to be like this was one of the final performances of Jim Henson as his iconic character of Kermit the Frog, and singing his iconic song. So I think it should be kind of treasured in that way, definitely from animation fans or puppet fans or what have you. So yeah, give it a 7. Be like it's a fun little romp of the Muppets going to Walt Disney World. That's what I got.
I'm giving this a 7.5.
7.5. Okay.
I'll admit that there's a lot of nostalgia on this for me.
Yeah, of course.
Because we have hit our 20 minutes to curfew warning.
Yes.
Because in 20 minutes, Jacob's going to turn into a pumpkin.
So let's wrap
For
this
those
up.
of you who don't know, especially on the podcast side, we were a little late getting out last week, and Ashley was not happy with us. Granted, I think we technically have until 11,
Right.
but we're trying to make sure we got time.
Yeah, it's more of a be like, hey, just be home at a decent hour. Don't show at home at work or home because she was kind of worried.
She doesn't need to wake up and not see you there, is what it comes down to.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I'm giving this a 7.5. There's a lot of nostalgia for me on this. I will admit that there's a lot of goofy stuff that does not quite work. But there's still a lot of fun here. It made me smile. I appreciate it for what it's supposed to be. I get why it may not work for everybody else, but I enjoyed it. Grant, there's a lot of better Muppet stuff out there, but this was one of my childhood fun things to watch, and that's why I love it. So, and it is good, and you really should, like Jacob said, you really should watch it to see the final scripted performances of Jim Henson. So yeah, Muppets at Walt Disney World gets a 7.5 from me. Next week, we have, if I can get to it,
Quest for Camelot.
Quest for Camelot.
Yes, Quest for Camelot.
Is this the one where I think it's the prince is blind?
No, he's not a prince. He's a soldier.
But he's blind.
Yeah, he's blind.
And we have a double-headed dragon who pretends to be Elvis, or thinks he's Elvis in one song.
Yes, I agree. It is.
I was afraid of that.
I've watched this movie before. It is so interesting. It's not great in any fashion or form.
I was about to say, are we gonna have party time next week?
No. I don't think so. Be like, this is not so bad. It's kind of a false entry. It's a bad movie month, but it's not bad, nor is it great.
I just know Nostalgia Critic reviewed this, and I saw that review, and I was like, oh wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but also Nostalgia Critic kind of hypes everything up and makes it worse than it actually is.
I don't know. He was pretty spot on with Swan Princess.
Yeah, that's oddly enough, that's where I actually learned about Swan Princess. I actually bought the movie because he reviewed it. Either or, it's available on
Right.
Tubi if you're interested where it is, or
So,
you might be one of those lucky people who is like, oh my gosh, I love this movie as a kid, I still own it. But
bear in mind, all our opinions are our own, and we do not fault you for liking the stuff you like.
yeah, exactly.
So join us next week for Quest for Camelot.
And let me add one thing, because I think this is something we should do. So for our streaming audience, and if you be like, you won't listen, be like, anyways, be like, if you have nostalgia for the Quest for Camelot, if you watched it before, you recently watched it, please hit us with a review of the Quest for Camelot, what you thought of the film, and let us know in the comments somewhere on our social media.
Send it to chat, send it to email.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, with every film, if you have thoughts on it,
Yeah, so
unless it's a Disney movie and your name is Roy, we already know your thoughts. You want to rate it 3.5, we get it. But yeah,
please,
we love audience interaction. We don't get enough of it.
yes. So please send us a review so we will have the chance to read it on air.
And I'm saying that knowing I just found out that there were a bunch of episodes last year on Spotify that got reviews that I didn't see.
Gotcha.
That's why they didn't get read.
Oh, okay.
My apologies to that gentleman. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. The username sounded like a guy.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but
we'll get around to them.
I may read all those reviews at the at the end of the credits. Who knows?
Okay.
But next week,
yes,
we've got Quest for Camelot. But after this intermission, we've got Clayface in Batman the Animated Series.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Every other week, you can join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establish what is still worth your time today, and you can expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco, Paul, and a rotating cadre of guest hosts who are all out of time. Also, for those of you who are aware of the little clip Geek Devotions played on ComTalk this week, the reason I haven't got those set up on mine yet is because I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Jacob already knows what I'm talking about, even though he doesn't know what I'm talking about, because I know he saw that chat.
Yes,
where I sent those.
I did.
I just haven't gotten them on my soundboard yet. Sorry, Dila hasn't gotten it on the soundboard
yes.
yet. So we're working on that. If you would like to have your name the Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons. The Ruiz family.
Nice.
PaulJPowers.com. The Monster Island Film Vault.
Film Vault? There we go.
And Edwin Gonzalez for another month.
Thank you.
Till the end of February. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, or for an additional $5 on top of that, you can make us review something within reason and possibly guest host on that episode if you so desire. You can donate all to us that way on Patreon. Also, please go to our Redbubble store in the links and go check out t-shirts and such that are for sale. Please go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you who are looking at the show notes going, Drew, there's not been anything in the show notes for the past couple of weeks because you haven't gotten those Linktree things out. They're coming. I have been busy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have busy lives. Just say that.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song the good folks sing.
Song the good folks sing.
In the great hall of the Justice League.
Okay, so I just had an idea
What?
for not maybe album art, maybe monthly art.
Okay.
Do it however you wish. I'm not suggesting you replace what you're doing for album art, but I'm saying this is just an idea that came to mind, and I was
Okay.
thinking album art at the time.
Fair.
Bat Frog.
I actually, but like my first
Kermit
is,
in Batman costume.
my first, because I was looking for references on Pinterest, which I always use, and the first one I saw was a bat frog. I was like, that's cool. I'd be like, I might be do two of them. Be like, hey, here's one, here's two, pick one. If you pick one, I'll throw the other one on, whatever.
I mean, the Muppets already have Wonder Pig.
That is true.
Wonder Woman, Miss Piggy in a Wonder Woman costume
Yes.
on her episode, right after Christopher Reeve's Superman was on the week before.
Yes. So let's get into
Batman.
the animated series.
Feet of Clay, parts 1 and 2. Directed by Dick Sebast and written by Marv Wolfman and Michael Reeves. This is episodes 20 and 21 in broadcast order, and 4 and 5 in I said that backwards. This is episodes 4 and 5 in broadcast order, and episodes 20 and 21 in production order. I had my B and my P switched. In this episode, Matt Hagen, a popular actor, becomes addicted to a strange chemical formula developed by Roland Daggett's labs. This chemical gives him the ability to alter his facial features without makeup, keeping his look so that the public doesn't know he was horribly disfigured in a car accident years ago, much like Mark Hamill. But in return for the stuff, Daggett had him play roles that aren't entirely legal. These actions then caused the arrest of Bruce Wayne, and after a disagreement with Daggett's men, Hagen is overdosed with the formula, transforming his body into a clay monster. Actor Matt Hagen, having been transformed into a monster made of clay, calls himself Clayface. Knowing that his career as an actor and personal life are ruined, Clayface seeks revenge against the man responsible, Roland Daggett. Batman continues his investigation of the murder attempts of Lucius Fox, and he soon confronts Clayface, who has the ability to morph into any shape he desires. Clayface's final confrontation with Daggett comes on the TV set of Summer Gleason's show, but Batman fights him once again, causing his death. But does Clayface die? And I just noticed I did not put the cast list on this.
No.
Hold on.
Because I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Okay, so new actors for this. We've got Ed Begley Jr., who was on last week's episode. This one, he plays Germs.
Oh my gosh, I love Germs as a character. He's so wishy-washy when it comes to be like his germ thing. It's so funny.
Dick Gautier as Teddy. Scott Valentine as Belle. And Ron Perlman as Clayface.
Ed Asner.
Yes, and we got Ed Asner as Roland Daggett.
Yeah,
Sorry.
be like one of the biggest stars on this whole thing. Be like,
I got confused because I saw Kevin Conroy above him and Summer Gleason below him. So I was like, fair enough. Skipping past that.
Fair enough.
My apologies.
No, you're good.
On the other episode, no one's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we talked about Brock Peters in an
Yes.
earlier episode as Lucius Fox. So trivia for this. Many fans and critics have praised the episode for its dark tone. Bruce Timm and Paul Dini were reportedly so pleased with the episode that they preferred to have it stand alone, and so did not bring Clayface back as a character for a very long time.
Okay, fair enough.
Similarly, Heart of Ice stood alone as the only episode featuring Mr. Freeze for a full season until Deep Freeze in 1994. The Clayface of the show is a combination of the first two Clayfaces, and that he, like the original Clayface, was an out-of-work actor looking for revenge, and like the second, he was named Matt Hagen. The look of the Imperial Pictures lot was designed after the Warner Brothers studio lot in Burbank, California.
I honestly thought it was like more like Universal lot, but fair.
My first thought when I saw it was like, oh, you based this on Paramount?
That
'Cause it
too.
looked like the art. It looked like the Paramount Arch.
Yeah,
Or
it
at least I
did.
thought was Paramount Arch. Honestly, now that I recognize it's Warner Brothers, I should have caught that because it does kind of look like Yakko, Wacko, and Dot should be running around in the background.
Yeah, agreed. Until they would be like, were they running around at that point? I don't remember.
This would have been this is
93.
Tiny Toons was still on the air, I think, at this point.
Tiny Toons ended in 92.
Yeah, but I don't think Animaniacs started.
No,
Didn't start till
until
probably
90
maybe the second season.
Yeah, like 94.
Because one of the early Animaniacs episodes.
Yeah, they do. They
does
spook Batman.
They do a Batman joke because they say, "Oh, this city needs a hero. This hero could do all these great things. This hero is on another network." Because by that time they were over on Warner Bros. on WB, and Batman wasn't.
No, he was on Fox.
Yeah. Ron Perlman provides the voice of the shape-changing villain Matt Hagen / Clayface. Perlman is known for his ability to change his appearance.
Yeah.
According to Bruce Timm, Tokyo Movie Shinsa, aka TMS, the studio that animated this episode, ignored the color instructions given to them and made their own color palette. The results were so successful, though, that Tim didn't mind. Per Tim, I think when we shipped them Clayface, they said to themselves, they think they know everything, but we'll show them how to do this show. We'll change Batman's colors. We'll do special color key treatments on the villains. When they're walking over the green vat, we'll blow them away. If that's their revenge, thank you for proving us wrong. I was so happy with that episode. The sequence where Daggett and Germs are walking over the green vat, those characters look like they're three-dimensional. They look like they're rotoscoped. When Daggett slowly turns around towards the camera, the shadows really wrap around his face. As if they're real. They did all those colors themselves. We couldn't even ask for those colors if we had wanted to. They aren't even in our palette. They had to specially mix those colors. Lastly, when Batman confronts Clayface on the hospital roof, the startled shapeshifter uncontrollably shifts into his likeness for a few moments. Knowing he shapeshifts reflexively when distracted turns out to be key to fighting him. Even before he seemingly dies, Clayface remarks, "You know what I would have done for a death scene like this?" What are your thoughts on this episode?
Or episodes? Oh my gosh. These are done very well. I love the I don't want to say tragic character of Matt Hagen, because he's an actor. He becomes addicted to this substance, and he has to do all this dirty work for Daggett. He has all to do this dirty work for Daggett, and he's so desperate to continue his career, and his double is trying to encourage him the best way he can. Apparently their roommates be like, it's like kind of a buddy relationship with these two. But you have this what I love about these two episodes, Feet of Clay, is you have when you get into more of this body horror and like the how dark they get. It's like, oh crap, this is good. This is so lush. It's not even funny. It's so good. It's like you have hold on, let me get names right because I will get names wrong. You have Matt Hagen as the actor. You have our villain. You have Batman himself. You have the fact that Bruce Wayne is set up for trying to kill Lucius Fox, and that whole angle from all the way to the end of part one, and like Bruce is arrested, and it's just like, this is just freaking gold. Be like, they're doing all these, like, TMS does an amazing job. There's parts from the very beginning, some of the animation is a little crunchy, but overall, oh my gosh, you have I'm trying to think, where Hagen is like, he's so distraught, the fact to be like, he believes his life is over. His life is completely over because of this. And and I think one of my favorite parts is where Batman confronts Clayface Hagen in the studio after he just tried to kill Daggett. And you have this great moment where Batman is showing Clayface all of like his previous performances, and the point where Hagen can't control it. Can't control it. He's doing all these metamorphoses and all the characters. I love this creepy, eerie body horror kind of animation. But like, it's not the extreme what they would do now, because this is the early 90s. But the attempt, the way TMS
TMS. Bear in mind, this is the same animation company that did Lupin the Third,
yes
Castle of Cagliostro.
yes, which is a film we've already reviewed. Go
Yeah.
watch that.
Well, I'm just saying that's an example of
Go
their
listen to
work,
that.
and a lot of the Studio Ghibli people originally started at
Mm,
TMS.
Yes.
So,
So like I
give
love
you an idea of pedigree.
yeah, I love that scene. I love the scene where Matt Hagen is like disguises this woman, confronts Daggett on the show, and like that entire his entire metamorphosis into his Clayface form is just freaking terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't hold anything back. And like Bruce Timm had said, be like the fact to be like they couldn't have asked for these colors, they had to special mix them.
Mm-hmm.
And like the amount of effort they put into animating this is just golden. I love it. It's so great. Here are some of my little critiques of this episode. There are little problems here and there, definitely with let me get to what's his face. Germs. Yeah, Germs. But like Germs is a interesting character when you first meet him. He's a germaphobe that is terrified of germs, but you see his first scene where he's letting Daggett, am I saying that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Daggett. He's letting Daggett into a room, like he takes the cloth and pushes the door,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not wearing gloves, so he puts his bare hand against that door. I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of a like there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say like, correct me if I'm wrong, or give me a hand here when it comes to be like when you say you're a germaphobe, because I've known germaphobes where they won't touch a door, they'll hit it with their knee or something like that. You don't plant your entire open palm against the door, and when you leave your hand, there's your palm print.
Mm-hmm.
With a open palm, no glove whatsoever. So I thought that was kind of, kind of apropos in a way, because it was showing this guy be like he's a germaphobe, but he's willing to do this. And there's little things here and there where if he's like a true germaphobe, he wouldn't do this. But I do love the fact, be like when he is confronted by Batman
Mm-hmm.
in this petri dish of a room,
Yeah.
in which I think it's absolutely hysterical, because he's be like, oh, be like Batman's threatening him, be like, oh, here, I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna put this biological hazard, which really isn't, because
It's this jar of seawater.
yeah, it's a jar of seawater, but like Germs doesn't know this.
Yeah.
And be like, Batman's got him pegged, be like, you know exactly how to threaten him. Be like, oh, all I gotta do is threaten to knock this thing off, and he's gonna squeal. And it's great, it's perfect. I love it. You have not Daggett, hold on. Correct. Matt Hagen. You have Matt Hagen when he becomes Clayface. Be like when his buddies, his double, like he realizes he can morph into different like other performances, but when his friend touches him, he loses concentration. So here's another little problem with this episode. There again, it is a fantastic episode. Be like, you have that one little moment where he loses concentration, but if he's touching other things and something touches him, he's still able to keep his form, or whatever form he was. But like, he's able to open doors, he's able to be touched or whatever. But there's little inconsistencies in this episode, even though it is a fantastic episode. Like, I'm talking minute little nitpick to death inconsistencies when it comes to how things work. But I thought, like, okay, these are something to bring up in the episode. You do have his little buddy, his little friend, to be like, it's like the dynamic between these two is a very interesting dynamic. But overall, but like I don't want to say interesting dynamic, because that's not implying what I'm trying to imply. But Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed, even though with the little nitpicks, be like there again, I might be reading into them too much. But overall, I thoroughly enjoy these 2 episodes. They're great. So, what are your thoughts?
So at the very beginning of this, I will admit I knew that wasn't Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought this guy's doing a pretty. Obviously, they're drawing him like Bruce Wayne. It's
Yes.
Kevin Conroy doing this guy's voice,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. But I thought, within the context, it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's not Bruce Wayne, but I can see how someone like Lucius Fox would see him as Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
I do have one issue with that opening part. Is like when when Batman discovers, Lucius Fox is in the hospital, and he goes to see him as Bruce.
Yeah, that's a great point. Good.
Why is Bruce Wayne entering from the window?
Because he knows he can't enter through the main door. Because he's
there.
He's expected. He'd be like they think he's a criminal, so he has to sneak in.
But does he? Because he seems confused about why they arrested him at the end, before he leaves.
That is true.
So I don't get that. Like, literally, when I saw that Bruce Wayne entering from the window, I thought, oh, he is Matt Hagen going back.
That's what I thought initially at first.
Because it's literally the same shirt he was wearing. The Hagen version was wearing. So I was like, it's not what you normally see Bruce Wayne wear. So I was sitting there going, that was confusing. So when they later say, oh, imagine Lucius Fox being scared of me. It's like, so that was actually, what was your plan, Bruce? You obviously, to enter through like you said, to enter through the window, he obviously thought, okay, yeah, he can't let the police know he's there. But why are you now confused that you got arrested when they caught you? Also, how does the police catch Batman even when he's Bruce Wayne, when he knows he's not wanting to get caught?
Yes.
He's still Batman. Bruce is just another version of him. He still has the same abilities.
Right.
It's not like he takes off the costume and he's just a billionaire playboy. He puts on the costume. He suddenly is the world's greatest detective and all that. It's not how it works. He's not he's not a henshin hero.
Right.
How did he get caught? And granted, okay, yeah, they see you. You obviously are going to play into it at that point. How did you let them see you? That's just it's a weird thing, and that scene bugged me when I watched it. But everything else in these 2 episodes is like so good.
Yeah, agreed.
I will say I miss VHS tape.
Okay.
And I love that we got VHS tape. And then, granted, the only thing I don't like about how they did that part is that those are all head-on shots of Matt Hagen's different roles. And the entire time sitting, it's like, shouldn't there be backgrounds and shouldn't these stances be slightly different for each character? Great, yeah, you have one that's a head-on shot, but you need one where, like, the cowboy should be like at a 3/4 turn and look like he's sitting on a horse. The mobster probably should look like he's holding a Tommy gun or something.
Yes.
These are literally just the same. This is literally take the Matt Hagen character sheet and draw different costumes on him and put that on all the TVs. It's like, that's the one part I look at and go, okay, you kind of done a little bit more with this, but whatever. But so much of this, it is so well done.
Agreed.
The morphing effects are done so well. Including the little half transformation of into Batman.
Oh, that was great.
But the best sequence in here, the one that made my skin crawl, with the body horror of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is after they're talking about, oh, he's probably not dead. What they picked up was
Oh
a shell.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you get that turnaround and you see the girl, and you know immediately
Mm-hmm.
that's him.
Oh yeah.
But they do the whole thing, and she's slowly got this kind of evil maniacal laugh.
Uh-huh.
And she closes her eyes and opens them, and it's the clay face eyes.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, that is creepy, and I
Oh,
like
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
That's great for what this is. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, some of these could have. He doesn't get to play with his shape-shifting ability that much. He turns into Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
different versions of him,
Yeah, as an actor.
and this girl. And that's all he does. Oh, sorry. He does turn into that one old woman too
Yes.
for the court scene. I was kind of hoping for more. Like maybe he would be Commissioner Gordon at one point, and when Batman goes to talk to him, only to find out, oh no, it's Clayface.
Yeah.
And make it look like he's like Batman's fighting Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
That would have been a cool way to keep Batman on the ropes. I was like, make it look like Batman's an enemy of the police. But I kind of wish they'd done more than. But yeah, I feel like a part of me wants to say I feel sorry for him, Matt Hagen, in such a way, because this kind of goes into psychology, how he's tied to being, his identity is tied to being an actor,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got this injury that was so bad that he was willing to do something to do this experimental treatment that would allow him to still be this look like the suave debonair playboy.
Yes.
That would be great for all the male leads. It's like, dude, if this injury hit you that bad, imagine how old age would have hit you.
Oh my gosh.
So a part of me feels bad for that, but at the same time, it's like I don't feel there's so much of that feels implied, and I'm reading into it. I'm not sure how
Mhm.
much of that is actually in the episode itself.
Fair.
So I think I had this same issue with one of the other earlier two-parters, not Cat in the Claw, the one right before that that we did. It was the Two-Face one.
Yeah, yeah.
It was less in the Two-Face one, but the same issues I see here, and that's that since they know they're telling a double length episode,
Yeah.
they are, because they're taking more time to tell a half-hour episode.
Yes.
It's still basically the same amount of story that's in a half-hour episode,
Mm-hmm.
but spread out over two. And this one, I felt it was, granted, you do get more time for characterization, and the episode ends like far faster. The first episode ended far faster than
Yeah.
I realized, because literally they get to that point, and I'm thinking, oh, we got to the first commercial break. Nope, that's the credits for the first half. Oh, this is great. I know that's some of that's just the timing and the way they wrote the story. I kind of wish. One of the things I liked about the Cat and the Claw two-parter
Mm-hmm.
is that this was 2 episodes worth of story
Yeah.
that were just the same story. This felt like my main one issue with this is this feels like it's 1 episode's length worth of story that's spread out, maybe 1.5. That's just spread out over 2. I just wish we'd gotten more of the regular pacing for the show, but so we have more characterization to go on, because strangely enough, this also seems to skip around in places.
Fair.
To a degree. Grant, don't get me wrong, great episode. Love the psychological questions it brings up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Love the I hate to say I love the body horror, because I'm not much of a horror fan in general, but I love the sequences. I love the thought process this puts into you. And I do think Ron Perlman does an amazing job as both Matt Hagen and Clayface.
He does.
But I just wish we gotten more story in these episodes, in this two-parter. Because like I said, it just feels like this is a single episode that they told it an hour-long length. It's like, I want more to sink my teeth into.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, I still like these episodes. But But yeah, that is my one real issue with it.
Agreed.
So next week, unless you got something else to add,
No, I think we're good.
next week, along with Quest for Camelot, we've got Vendetta and Fear of Victory. I'm betting Fear of Victory is going to be our second Scarecrow episode.
Probably.
I don't
And-
remember what Vendetta is.
And to let people know, if you are looking to watch for yourself, Quest for Camelot, it's available on Tubi.
And if for some reason you hadn't found Batman yet, it's on both Max and Amazon. But they're in two different orders. The version the most of the episode orders we're going with are matched on Amazon Prime, while the ones on Max are done in broadcast order, so it's going to look like we're jumping around a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's where I'm watching it on Max.
I assumed you'd be watching it on your DVDs.
Yeah, I need to do that. I have them. I just don't. It's so much
get
easier
it.
to stream them.
Streaming is more convenient. I get that. And honestly, with something like this, you're not really
You have to
losing much
bounce
detail.
around. Yeah.
So that's why I'm using Prime, is because it's literally that is mostly that order.
Okay, fair enough.
But either way, thank y'all for joining us tonight. Join us next week for those things. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame. I do not have the soundboard up.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes.
They're coming.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams.
And live recordings of Untangling Kingdom Hearts.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
You know, with a little bit more money, this short could have also included Minnie Mouse, and she could have given the evil eye to Miss Piggy when Miss Piggy started flirting with Mickey.
Yes.
I would have paid good money to see that.
Or Minnie Mouse could have been her stage character, her walk around character. Oh, that'd be funnier because we were just crossing all kinds of sections.
At least the walk around characters for Mickey and Minnie didn't show up in the park in any of these
That
scenes.
is true, because that would have
been confusing.
Yes, then awkward is all out.
Okay, and that's the end of the
Yes.
episode. Hi, Leslie. Thanks for coming at the very last minutes.
Thank you for showing up.
I'm assuming Geek Devotions is somewhere around there too, so hi to you as well.
Yes.
Let me see if I could find somebody for the Twitch people to raid.
Yes.
But yeah, how are y'all doing? And yeah, thank all y'all for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the delays and watching me eat for 20 minutes.
Thankfully, we only had one internet glitch.
Yeah, we had one internet glitch. We had one bot.
Which thankfully we took care of pretty easy.
Yes. I'm tired. It's been a long week.
I
want to
agree.
I want to get
I
to
so
bed.
agree. I'm gonna send y'all over to Book of Gaming. I know I go there all the time, but he's just been so friendly to us. So that's where I'm going.
All right, guys.
Then I'm curious if my new weird thing I sent him is going to be in it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we look forward to next week with the Quest for Camelot and more Batman and TAS. So yeah, this is Jacob,
and this is Drew,
and we'll see you on the next frame. Bye, guys.
By the way, we're also coming up on our first rewind of the year.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, that'll be soon. So we'll talk to y'all later.
Later.
I gotta hit this raid. I gotta hit the raid first.